Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was in Avengers. Konoha wants him back. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Nara321 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. 10th of October, 8 years after Kyuubi attack. A blonde boy was surrounded by dozens of villagers and even some shinobi. They were carrying pitchforks and torches. Most of them were drunk, and the boy in question was tied to a stake. Why are you doing this? What have I done to any of you? He asked, desperately wiggling, trying to escape. One woman with shoulder-length blonde hair screeched, "You know what you have done, demon brat," as she sets the stake on fire. The boy's screams drew a squad of umbu to his location. The first to arrive was a silver-haired umbu with a dog mask. "No," he mutters in a low tone as the boy's screams come to an end. The villagers, on the other hand, were celebrating, shouting, "You did it, Haruno! And we finished what Yondaime started." The silver-haired umbu ran at speeds too fast for anyone to follow, and rammed a lightning blade to the blonde Haruno, Sakura's mom. He then glares behind his mask, about to kill the entire mob. Just as he was about to plow through them, he was stopped by a female umbu with purple hair. "Inu-senpai, we need to wait for the Hokage's orders. Make sure no one leaves," he says. Inu quickly disappears and reappears with the Hokage under a minute. Upon seeing the god of shinobi glare at them, the mob had lost all their courage. "What have you done?" One of them somehow finds the courage to speak. We finish what Yondaime started." He asked more than he answered. "Inu, take them to integration and tell Ibiki he can do whatever he wants." The mob all started shouting, something along the lines of, "You can't do this. Or you are the Hokage, you are supposed to protect us. Or even you work for us." The last one rattled the old Hokage and he killed the man with a fireball. Inu makes sure they are all burned to death after the interrogation. Inu nods as his squad takes the mob to torture and integration. After they leave, Hiruzen holds the corpse of a boy he came to view as his grandson as he shed the first tears he has since the death of his wife. Scene change. Konoha underground chamber. Deep under the village, hidden in the leaves, in a dark chamber lit with green flames, stood an old man with partially bandaged limbs. The man was infamous war hawk of Konoha, Danzo Shimura. In front of him stood an unconscious boy who couldn't be older than 8. The boy had sun-kissed blonde hair, sky-deep blue eyes, and the fox-like whisker marks in each of his cheeks. This child was the container of the strongest bijou, and according to the old war hawk, Konoha's greatest weapon. A male shinobi with root mask appeared next to his leader. The body double we set in place for the Jinchuriki has been captured by the villagers, and under a subtle genjutsu, they burn the double at the stake. Danzo-sama. The crippled man nods and the shinobi disappears from view. 2 other elderly, 1 man and 1 woman, walks next to Danzo. "Are you sure Hiruzen won't find out about this?" the Koharu asks. Danzo shakes his head but still adds he won't. "But don't forget, if he does find out, it will be all 3 of us he'll come after." Hamura adds his own thoughts on the subject. "We are only doing this for the sake of the village. Konoha just lost her most powerful clan, which was one of the reasons the village was feared and respected as the strongest. With them gone and the boy being as weak as he is, if a war were to break out, we would be the first to be wiped out." Koharu nods. With Hiruzen's students being such a disappointment, and losing so many shinobis, Konoha only has 3 S-rank shinobi she can rely on. Hitaki and Guy have the potential, but they are not strong enough to protect the village, at least not yet. Danzo agrees with them and looks at a red-headed girl who was the same age as the boy. "We really lucked out when my root found this Uzumaki girl in Kusagakure. Hiruzen would never let the boy become the weapon Konoha deserves, so she patting the girl in the head will have to do." They all nod and a ceiling matrix on the ground shines as the boy wakes up and screams in agony. The boy was familiar to the feeling of pain from all the beatings he endured from drunk and or angry villagers, but this was a pain in a whole other level. Scene change. Naruto's mindscape. "We need to do something, Minato. We can't let him die," said a beautiful woman with red hair that was matching the color of her eyes. Her eyes were like that from the sadness she felt at seeing her son like this, and the anger at herself for not being able to help him. "Kushina, you need to calm down," said blonde man who looked like an older version of the boy, without the whisker marks, that is. The redhead was not listening. "Calm down. Calm down. How can I calm down when my baby is dying and I can't do anything about it?" Her hair rose in 9 strands. He was going to reply, but she didn't let him. "This is all your fault. If you had chosen to save your family over the village, this would never happen. You chose those filthy villagers over your own son. How could you? Kushina, please, I saved all our friends, and I hope that the villagers would have seen Naruto as a he." He was trying to say something, but she cut him off again. "And where were all our friends? Where was Jiraiya? Where was Mikoto? They were his godparents, weren't they? Where was Kakashi? Didn't we treat him as our own? Where were all the others? Where were all the people we call friends? Where were they when my boy needed a shoulder to cry on? Where were they when the villagers were beating him up? Where were they when he needed someone to tell him he was loved?" Minato was speechless. After all, they had seen part of Naruto's memories since appearing in here. He finally said the only thing he could, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault, but please help me make this okay. You can hate me, you can hate all our friends and the village for the rest of eternity, but please help me save Naruto." She looked at him. Really looked at him, and she could finally see that he was feeling the same things as her. Her eyes turned from rage to determination. Can we really save him? Minato was surprised, but quickly regained his composure. He was surprised because despite being used to seeing a determined look on his wife's face, this was different. This woman wasn't the red-hot habanero he knew when they were alive. This woman was far more dangerous than the Red Death of Konoha could ever hope to be. She was a mother who wanted to save her son. We need to act fast. We need to use Mito-sama's final jutsu, he said. The determined look on Redhead's face slipped to one of rage for a split second. If they used this jutsu, she would never be able to see her baby boy again. Not even in the afterlife. But they were out of options. She could only nod. Together with her husband they complete 999 hand signs in incredible speeds. Speeds that a Sharingan wouldn't be able to follow. They hold on before completing the 1000th hand sign. They both needed to time the jutsu perfectly with Kyuubi's release, and use the chakra he released as a catalyst for the jutsu. The duo did not have nearly enough chakra in their current forms, and even if they could use Naruto's Jounin-level reserves, it wouldn't be enough to complete a jutsu of this caliber. What neither of them could have known was that the Kyuubi's chakra within Naruto's system alongside the jutsu they used would affect him on a genetic level in a way never seen before, at least not in the elemental nations. As their son was going through the painful extraction process, the duo was forced to watch what the boy was thinking. He was thinking about every beating he had endured, every night he had cried himself to sleep, every day he had to go without any food to eat, every insult thrown at his way, and every time their friends saw and ignored his suffering. Through all this the blonde man was shaking and repeating, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The red-headed woman, on the other hand, was looking at her son's miserable life. She was silently crying, not even muttering a single word. They did the 1000th hand sign and were nearly out of chakra. I'm sorry, Kushina, please forgive me," the man pleaded in his final moments. Just as they were disappearing, the redhead finally looks at her one-time lover. "I'm sorry, but I can never forgive you," she says with a sad look. This look would haunt the man for the rest of eternity. It wasn't the words she said that hurt him, it was her eyes. They did not have an ounce of love in them. Seeing her eyes like this, once mighty yellow flash of Konohagakure finally falls to his knees. He had went through 2 world wars. He killed thousands of men, women and children. He had seen and even done some horrible acts. But to this day he still managed to hold on, thanks to his ideals of a better future, and his love for the village. But that look on his wife's eyes, along with the suffering his son had gone through at the hands of the village he sacrificed everything for, had finally broke something in him. In his final moments, he lay there, not as the Yondaime Hokage, but as a broken man and a failure of a father. Scene change. Konoha underground chamber. An explosive chakra pulse shook the room as the extraction was complete. The boy who was supposed to be death was nowhere to be seen. What was that, Danzo? This wasn't part of the extraction process. Koharu shrieks in a voice that would make a Harino proud. Hamura was also worried as he couldn't find the boy's body anywhere. Where is the boy, Danzo? It must have been a safety Yondaime put on the seal. But it doesn't matter anymore. The girl is the Jinchuriki now, and she will be the perfect weapon for Konoha to reign supreme. Hamura didn't like it, as he believed the boy at least deserved a proper burial. Nevertheless he nods. The boy appears to be dealt a worse hand than he thought possible. What none of the elders knew was that with their actions today the future of elemental nations had changed for the worse. Had this not happened, Naruto would grow up to be an inspiring and powerful, if not idiotic and too forgetful shinobi, eventually becoming the hero this world desperately needed. But alas, it was not meant to be. Few years later elemental nations were drowned in war and continue warring to this day. The shinobi world might have been doomed to its own fate. But what about the child who had suffered for 8 years? What happened to him? Did he die, or his parents' action from beyond the grave managed to give him a better future? Well, let's just say he found himself in a bizarre situation. To be continued. The following morning, 1678, Central Park. Naruto couldn't remember the last time he was this comfortable. He still remembered the intense pain he felt last night, but now he had just woken up from the most comfortable sleep he had in his life. He couldn't remember the last time when he slept so comfortably without feeling like he had so much energy that it literally boiled his skin. He did not compelled to do anything. He tried to think, why was it? Of course he couldn't know that Kyuubi's chakra was no longer circulating his system, but he knew that this place wasn't his crappy apartment which he lived in for almost 2 years. Here he is laying under a tree, in the middle of some kind of park he had never seen before. Where did the villagers throw me now? Usually Gigi finds me and takes me to the hospital by now. Someone who was strolling through the park noticed a lone kid with blonde hair looking confused. Hey kid, are you lost or something? Where are your parents? Naruto wasn't sure who this man was but still greeted him. Hello Dada Bayo. I'm looking for Gigi, he is the Hokage. Do you know where he is? The man now had a look of frustration and yelled, Kid, speak English. I don't know half of those Chinese words you're speaking. As the kid with blonde hair and blue eyes was obviously not Asian. What did you say? Whiskered boy yelled back. I don't know what's going on, but come with me, I'll take you to someone who can help, he said while reaching to grab him. When the man finally grabbed the boy's shoulder he screamed in pain, HH. What the fuck? What did you do to me, you freak? The blue-eyed boy was just as surprised as the man. What happened? He didn't have a clue, but he learned from experience that if something bad happens around him, regardless of what it is, he would get the blame for it. so he ran as fast as he could. Over the next few years, one day Naruto had found himself in a strange new land, where everything was so much different from Konoha. People in this new place seemed far nicer. No adult was glaring at him, cursing at him, chasing him, or even beating him up. Their attitude towards the whiskered boy had turned out for the better. Not only that, something in him had changed as well. He was able to control objects, or more specifically vectors of the objects, as he would later come to learn, which he had chosen to hide along with the fact he could use chakra. Only bad thing about this place is that the Gigi wasn't around. That was until a few days later, where he met his real self, who revealed everything Gigi kept from him. Why he was hated, who his parents were, as well as how they both cursed and saved him. Flashback. Naruto was sleeping on a street corner. It wasn't uncommon for him to sleep on the street. Growing up as a pariah, he had slept on weird places more times than he bothered to count. What was uncommon was that in his dream he was standing on top of the Hokage mountain. But it wasn't him. The boy who was looking at didn't have his azure blue eyes. No, this wicked version of him had black eyes and red pupils. Ha! We can finally meet the dark version of him, said with a dark smile. His laughter sent chills down Naruto's spine. Who the hell are you, Dadabayo? Whiskered boy shouts. I'm the real you. The real me? The azure-eyed boy asks. Yeah, I'm your precious hatred, your dark self. The whiskered boy didn't have a clue on what was going on, so he asks in a sheepish tone, what? Ha ha ha, I'm all those feelings you suppressed over the years. The red pupil version smirks. I'm also the one who knows everything Gigi kept from us. What? I'll let you know everything he kept from us, but only after we merge. After all, if you die, I die, so to make sure your naive ass does not get us killed, we need to merge. Why should I believe you? Whiskered boy exclaims. Ignoring his other half's outburst, the dark self of Naruto smirks. When we were born, Hokage made a new rule, a rule everyone but you knew. It is also the reason why everyone hated us. What? Tell me. The boy begged/demanded. The fourth Hokage never really killed the Kyuubi. You can't kill a bijou, after all he had to seal it away, in a newborn. Naruto's eyes widened in realization, but before he could retort, the real Naruto spoke again. Not only that, but the old monkey also hide who our parents are. What? The blonde exclaims once again. The dark Naruto put his hand in front of him in a fist-shaped merge with me if you want to know more. Naruto didn't trust this being in front of him, but he still fist bumped. The bad self was slowly absorbed into the good self. Everything they both knew and were, was now shared between them. Flashback end. Due to merging with his real self as well as his long suffering at the hands of villagers, Naruto's views on life had changed. He didn't care about what others think about him anymore. He didn't care why Gigi lied to him. He didn't care about becoming the Hokage. He didn't even care if his father truly loved him or not. He only cared about himself and those that he sees as his precious people, and, at this point, only his mother. After that, he met with a nice police officer named George Stacy who helped him to settle in an orphanage. Orphanage wasn't the caring environment a growing boy needed, but it gave him a place to stay and study his powers. He soon comes to realize that they involved lots and lots of math, which meant studying for him. Luckily, without the excess energy from a fur ball made of infinite chakra, he was able to sit down and learn both advanced mathematics and science. And thanks to the high intelligence he inherited from his father, it wasn't that hard. A year later, at the young age of 9, Naruto was hailed as a genius, praised by his teachers and caretakers alike, which he didn't care about. The other kids, on the other hand, did care. Kids didn't like how smart he was becoming, especially due to all the extra attention he had gained from adults, so they decided to teach him a lesson. One day when he was walking back from school, he was cornered by 3 larger kids. The blue-eyed shounen protagonist didn't want to hurt them at first, but after one of them called his mother the only person to truly love him a rear, he snapped and retaliated. Whiskered chakra user jumped on top of the boy who dared talk bad about his mother and started to punch his face in. Thanks to his chakra, he was stronger than any normal 9-year-old could ever hope to be. When Naruto was done, the boy in question was unconscious. Blood was covering his face. Seeing the shape of their larger friend, other 2 had backed off, afraid of the same thing happening to them, even though they had no idea how a skinny blonde could overpower a larger kid so easily. Few days later, rumors of what he did was spread and less people were inclined to interact with him. Not that many had before anyway. This led him to be more isolated and spend more time exploring his powers. Despite all that, over the years Naruto did manage to make a few friends, most prominent ones being Johnny Storm, his best friend, and the people in Baxter Building. Sune even managed to put him in an exam for a scholarship program. If he could get it, he would get scholarship not only for high school, but also for the university of his choice. That is why Naruto was sitting alongside 24 bright 7th and 8th graders, waiting for their examiners in a school away from the orphanage he come to dislike staying at. A man of average height with yellow sunglasses finally entered the room, morning everyone. My name is Mr. Vandermeer. I'm a science teacher in Bayville High. As you all know, the Bayville High scholarship exam only allows us to pick 1 bright student each year, so try your best and remember 3 wrong answers cancels a right one. He passes exam papers to everyone and lets them check the papers. You may begin. The exam was above middle school level, and from the looks on everyone's faces, most were having trouble. The only ones who were finding it relatively easy were Naruto and 2 nerdy kids, 1 boy and 1 girl. The three finished the 2-hour-long exam in just under an hour and gave their exams in almost the same time. When they exit the exam room, Naruto observed the other two for a few seconds. They were slightly younger than Naruto. One was a boy wearing thick glasses. The other one was also wearing glasses. But unlike the boy, he could tell she was kinda cute. "Hey Pete, can Uncle Ben give me a ride? Dad is going to be late again," blonde girl asked. "Sure thing," one boy with glasses answered. Naruto would have loved to chat with smart kids around his age, but he needed to leave for Baxter Building. Sune told him to come as soon as he finished the exam. When he got there, she had him write down every question on the exam and tell her his answers and why. After that, she spent an hour explaining everything about the only 2 questions he got wrong. 2 weeks later, the results of the exam were announced. 3 students had gotten 98%. Bayville High was initially going to interview these students, but both Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker had taken out their names from consideration because they both got scholarships from Midtown High. Naruto was really happy with the results and visited a lawyer. He filed for emancipation from state, which would be finalized at the end of his middle school. Upon completing middle school, Naruto left the orphanage that was full of jealous idiots. But he knew that he would need money, so he might have busted into few rich criminals' houses and stolen some of their money from their safes. It was child's play for the kid who used to fool Umbu. Naruto spent the summer holiday with the Storms, and found a small studio apartment close to Bayville High, which was also only a single metro drive away from Baxter Building. The place was spacious for a studio apartment as well, but more importantly, it would finally give him the freedom to use his powers without the fear of being found out. To be continued. X Mansion. A brown-haired teen with sunglasses was banging the door of the bathroom. "Bang bang bang, come on Jean. I don't want to be late for the first day of school." "Just a minute," Redhead replied while checking herself in the mirror. Scott's eye twitched before speaking. "You said that 5 minutes ago. If you don't come out now, I'm gonna blow up the door again," reaching for his glasses. "The door finally opens. Come on, we're late," she said, trailing a finger across his jaw. They walked down the stairs, but before they could leave, they were stopped by 2 people they come to see as parental figures over the years. "You two weren't going to go before saying goodbye, were you?" The woman they come to see as a second mother was smiling ever so slightly. The smile sent a shiver down their spines. "And Mito looks the same as she did when she sealed Kyuubi into herself. This is due to her mutant power, regeneration." Mito-sensei, we were going to be late, so Scott was cut by the younger redhead, so we thought we should hurry and see you too. "Well, that is kind of you, dear. I think you deserve a present for that." Her smile got slightly wider. "Your training will be doubled tonight." While 2 teen members of the X-Men groaned, Man in the wheelchair had a small laugh before saying, "Alright, you two, have fun in school and I'll try to convince Mito to go easy on you." The 2 were about to sigh in relief before the kunoichi took a thinking pose and said, "Maybe I should triple it instead?" Before Mito can act on it, however, Scott grabbed Jean and used the special technique of the Joestar family. Scene change. Bayville High. A whiskered teen was mumbling on his way to the school. "Why don't I just skip grades? Oh yeah, because if I do, Sune would skin me alive." While he was mumbling, he didn't notice a girl bumping into him. His reflective shields were currently just powerful enough to push her back, and he is keeping them active in low setting. She lost her balance and dropped her books. The blonde chakra user picked a few of her books up and was about to give it to her before she spoke. "I'm sorry for bumping into you. First day stress, I suppose." Naruto was speechless for a second. "She is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life, and I have cable, for Christ's sake." So, after being dumbfounded, he did what any shounen anime protagonist would do. He said exactly what he was thinking. "You have beautiful hair." The girl slightly blushed at this compliment, not because she wasn't used to them, but because of the guy who said it. He stood at a height of 5'9", short golden blonde hair, and beautiful sky blue eyes. He had muscular physique, but not a bulky one. He wore a blue t-shirt, baggy black jeans, and white sneakers. But what stood out most about him was his cute whisker marks on each cheek. "Thanks. My name is Jean. Nice to meet you," she replied the compliment with a smile. "Nice to meet you, Databao." He covered his mouth and blushes a bit himself. "I thought I got rid of that annoying thick." If Jean was surprised, she didn't show it. The 2 started talking and went to the assembly together. When they got there, a brown-haired teen approached them. "Jean, I was looking for you." He tried to get in between Jean and this new blonde, but instead Jean chose to introduce them. "Hi Scott, this is Naruto. He is a freshman like us." Pointing at the blonde. "Hello," Whiskered Mutant said with a bright smile. Scott ignores the Whiskered Mutant and turns his attention back to the redhead. "I saved us a seat, let's go." The redhead shook her head. "I think I'll sit with Naruto. He was just telling me a story." Scott mumbles quietly, but left the 2 alone. The duo sat somewhere in the middle. Before the assembly started, no one was paying attention and everyone was chatting among themselves. And of course our vector user nor telepath were an exception to this. "So then I gathered a bunch of orange paint can and me and Johnny painted Reed's lab overnight," showing her the pictures of his triumphal victory. The redhead couldn't help herself but laugh out loud. How could 2 11-year-old kids paint an entire lab overnight? Principal Darkholm finally started the short assembly and the 2 went to their first class. Luckily they had most of their classes together. The day went quite good for Naruto. He actually chatted with few people in this new school and was even making connections with some of them. He also met few bullies, namely Duncan, and decided to punish them later in a manner fitting of good Naruto. "Hey Naruto, come sit next to me." The redhead waved at him. The 2 started chatting once again until the teacher arrived. The teacher called out everyone's name one by one and stopped in Naruto's name. I'm not sure how you pronounce this. I'll give it a shot though. He thought to himself, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto raises his hand and begrudgingly said it's Naruto Uzumaki. After the classes ended, Jean and Naruto were about to go their separate ways, but Naruto did something out of character. Hey Jean, I was wondering if you would like to go see a movie together? I heard there's a Beatles movie that just came out, so he asked nervously. Jean was caught off guard. She weighed her options. Should I go to the mansion and get hit by rubber bullets by the sadistic woman called Mito Senju, or go to a movie with tall, blonde and totally my type? Well, when I put it that way, she thought to herself, sure, just let me call my aunt. Naruto smiles and nods his head. Jean walked few steps away from Naruto. Ring. Hey Mito-sensei, something came up and I won't be able to make it for today's training session. And why is that? She asked in a dangerously sweet tone. Well, a new friend from school just asked me to a movie and I couldn't refuse. Oh, and is this new friend of yours a boy? Groans, please don't make a big deal out of this. This reminds me of the time I met Hashikun. It was love at first sight. We met on a mission and had to fight over a dozen shinobi to get a scroll to a princess. The scroll was a marriage contract between her and the prince of another country. It was a missio. It was a mission of love. I know. Gotta go now, sensei. See you tonight. Oh Jean, before I forget. Jean stopped herself from closing the phone. Remember the talk Oro-chan and I gave to you. Always use a condom even if the guy says it's too small for him. Even Hashikun's big. Jean closed the phone and her face was now matching the shade of her face. She quickly ran and grabbed Naruto's hand and walked quickly, dragging him along. In the movie theater. How did it come to this? We just met today, for the love of God. We shouldn't be doing this. Ooh, that felt good, Jean thought to herself as Naruto planted another kiss to her neck. Naruto then slowly kissed Jean on her lips. Neither hormone-driven teens were showing any signs of stopping until Naruto grabbed Jean's breasts. At that moment Jean gently pushed the whiskered blonde. I am sorry Naruto, but we are going a bit too fast. Maybe we should slow down a bit. Naruto thought about it for a moment. You are right, Jean. It's just I don't usually have such a strong connection with someone I've just met, and I kind of got carried away. Sorry. Redhead puts on a foxy smile. Well, I can forgive you, but you'll owe me one, she said while trailing a finger on his chin. The blonde nodded his head up and down. After that Jean leans against his muscular shoulder, and the two silently watch the rest of the movie. X-Mansion, Danger Room. Scott, you lucky dog. Today two pretty Nachans are going to teach you the most important thing in a fight, red-haired instructor from hell said with a smile on her face. Whenever Scott sees that smile he wants to drop whatever he is doing and run for his life. But he learned from experience this demon will always catch his target. Mito slapped few seals on Scott, and the gravity acting on him tripled. We are going to teach you how to dodge. Suddenly Danger Room was filled with artificial clouds and the white-haired instructor's eyes shone brightly. Scott started running as soon as he saw her eyes shift, lightning stroke where he was standing a second ago. What he didn't expect was for a blunt kunai to strike him in his stomach with enough force to send him flying. Come on Scott, I used to do this training when I was 6. Even a toddler should be able to dodge. That red-headed devil was mocking him now. Maybe a ninja demon toddler from hell. He said in a volume that was barely heard by the beautiful women in the room. Oro-chan, did he just ask me to put another gravity seal on him? Mito said looking at the African beauty. I believe he did. Scott's eyes widened. He needed to change the subject. Quick, wait. Where is Jean? Mito stopped in her tracks. Oh, Jean-chan is on a date, so I give her the night off. Really? With whom? Weather Goddess asked as Scott gained an angry look on his face. Apparently she just met him today. That boy is so bold. Just like Hashikun. Kunoichi said. I know that feeling. Chala was quite bold himself. Too bad he needed to go back to his precious Wakanda. She said the last bit with contempt. Scott swallowed his anger at his crush going on a date with someone else, in favor of silently escaping the devil's claws. Just when he made it to the door, a hand gently grabbed him from behind. Well, I think we should also teach you aerial dodging. She threw him up to 10 meters high and threw 3 blunt kunais at him. Scene change. Front of the X-Mansion. Naruto and Jean walked all the way from the movie theater, talking about their past, both omitting certain parts. When they reached the gates of the mansion, Jean tucked a bit of her hair over her ear. I had a great time tonight. Me too, Jean, and I would like to do it again, soon. Do you? He asked nervously. She chuckles at his nervousness and gave him a kiss. I do. So does that make us a couple? She just laughs at her fellow mutant. I guess it does. She waved at him. Gotta go. Text me. Jean walked into the mansion and in the communal space saw Scott, covered in bandages. Jean, do me a favor and delete my memories of tonight, he pleaded. Stop being a crybaby. We barely even touched you, Elder Redhead said. Plus if you forget it, we would have to repeat it. Scott got flashbacks of his stray dash. Who was he kidding? His torture. He fell unconscious from mental and physical abuse he endured tonight. Anyway, Jean-chan, tell me all about this mysterious boy who swept you off your feet. I would like to hear about it as well, African Goddess added. He is tall, blonde and has cute whisker marks, birthmarks not tattoos. He is also very smart, even did an internship in Baxter Building. Does tall, blonde and cute have a name? Mito asked in a teasing tone. His name is, to be continued. Anyway, Jean-chan, tell me all about this mysterious boy who managed to sweep your feet in under a day. Even Hashikun took 3 days to make me fall for him. I would like to hear about it as well, African goddess added. He is tall, blonde and has cute whisker marks, birthmarks not tattoos. Also he is very smart, he even did an internship in the Baxter building. Does the tall, blonde and cute has a name? Mito asked in a teasing tone. His name is Naruto. Ororo raised an eyebrow. A Japanese name? I've never met a blonde Asian before. Well, he is not really Japanese. Apparently both his parents had Japanese heritage, and they named him Naruto. Then Jean glares at the kunoichi, and you better stay away from Naruto. I still remember how you kidnapped my last boyfriend and was about to use shinobi torture techniques on him before Professor managed to stop you. Mito fell on her knees and started doing circles on the ground while mumbling, well, he forgot your birthday, and you were crying. Promise you'll leave Naruto alone, I really like him. Her sensei quickly got up from her depression and started to laugh. Haha, little Jean grew up so fast. Jean continues her glare. Fine, I'll leave this Naruto alone. Both Ororo and Jean sighed in relief. But if he cheats on you in any way, I'll hunt him down and use Deku's cutest no jutsu on him. Surprisingly, no one in the room even tried to argue against that. Scott was still unconscious, while the other two seemed to agree with the seal mistress. Professor, who was just outside the room, wanted to deter them from giving a young man fate worse than death, but he decided it was unwise to argue against 3 women, each of whom capable of destroying the mansion on a whim. Few months later, Baxter building. Ring 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 ring. You've reached Johnny Storm. I'm not at home right now. Leave a message after the tone beep. Yo Johnny, it's me. I'll be late for dinner. Sue, who just walked by Johnny's room, stopped when she heard Naruto's voice. She was about to answer the phone. Apparently Jean has a soccer game going on, and as her boyfriend I need to go and support her. Also, don't you dare make whipping sounds, and please make an excuse for Sue. Sue's eyes widened slightly. The little twerp she had come to see as a little brother had a girlfriend and was hiding it from her. Click. Sue answers the call. Oh Johnny, glad you answered. Anyway, I'll be late tonight because I need to go to Jean's soccer game. And who is this Jean? Sue asks in a sweat tone that sent a shiver down his spine. Emma morning Sune. How are you doing? Desperate tries to change the subject. I'm good, now tell me who is Jean? Her tone was getting scarier by the second. Jean is a friend from school. Yes, she is a friend from school. And I'm sure I must have heard wrong when you said as her boyfriend, huh? PR probably? You are bringing that girl tonight and introducing her to me. Also, did Reed knew about this? Now Naruto had a choice to make. Either divide the blame by pushing the smartest man alive under the bus or take the full blame. Nope, Reed and I had no idea. I'm sure not really buying it now. Listen, you are bringing that girl tonight for dinner, and if I hear you've been treating her like wrong, I'll make sure you never even see another plate of ramen for an entire year. Gulp. Alright Sune. Click. Sue stormed off to the living room. Johnny had brought his second floozy home, this week that is. Jonathan Lowell Spencer Storm, do you know why I'm angry? Sue yelled as Johnny stopped making out with the girl he had brought home today. Upon seeing Sue glare at them, the girl quickly left, and Sue's full-force glare was once again directed at Johnny. No? Johnny learned from experience never to guess. Apparently a whiskered blonde who practically grew up in this house felt it unnecessary to tell me, but only me, that he has a girlfriend. What's the big deal? I have a new girlfriend every week. You don't even want to meet them anymore, he said without a care in the world. Well, maybe if you were to date a girl for more than a week, I would like to meet them, she retorts. How long has Naruto seeing this girl for? Few months, he says, waiting for another outburst, but her mood did a 180. That is great. And here I was worried that he would be another you, switching between girls every day, without even remembering their names. I do remember their names, he shouts back at her. What was the name of the girl you brought home 2 weeks ago? She asks. Jenny? It was Alex. I'm gonna see Reed now. You go take a shower and put on something nice. Naruto is bringing this Jean girl over and I want to make sure she is good enough for him. Sue was about to leave but remembers something. She looks back at Johnny, and if you make any passes to this girl, I swear I'll make sure your favorite limb never functions again. Scene change. Reed's lab. Reed was looking at a board with complicated equations on it as if he was a 5-year-old looking at a swarm of puppies. The lab's door opens and his girlfriend enters with a scowl on her face. Reed, honey, do you know why I'm angry? Now Reed Richard might be the smartest man alive, but when it came to women he had as much clue as any other man, maybe even less. You are angry because I hid the fact that Ms. Valeria Martinez, a beautiful ESU student who showed interest in Reed before, joined my graduate class? What, she screams at future Mr. Fantastic. No, I was angry because you haven't told me Naruto is dating someone. Naruto is dating someone? He asks. So you really didn't know about it? Of course not. Hoping to avoid the talk that was about to come, I need to go back to calculations for interspatial space shuttle. Not so fast. What is this about Valeria? Reed started to sweat bullets, clearly aware that he would be sleeping on the couch for the next few days. Scene change. Soccer game. Injury time. The score is 2-2. Bayville High is doing quite well against their rival Midtown High, who they haven't been able to beat for the past 2 years. I believe this is no small part to the new foxy redhead we have in our team. Commentary. Jean controls the ball and tries to dribble past a much larger girl. After she managed to pass her, the girl pulls on Jean's hair and causes her to fall badly. Jean Naruto and Scott shouted at the same time. They glared at each other for a split second but looked back to the field. Jean slowly got up with the help of her teammates. She seemed to be fine, At least there was no visible injuries. The ref approached the larger girl and gave her a red card. With minutes to spare, Bevelhai has gained a free kick just outside the box. Let's see if we can grab a last-minute victory. Commentary. Jean and a blonde girl were standing behind the ball. Jean ran up to the ball, but she jumped over it, letting the blonde girl take the shot. The blonde girl shot towards the goal, but the ball was stopped by the goalkeeper. The game ended in a draw. After the team has a small talk, Naruto approaches Jean. You were great out there. I mean, it's your debut and you managed to not only score, but also got an assist, and if that girl didn't foul, you would have scored a second goal, he said with a bright smile. Then she was cut off by his gentle kiss. She wanted to continue but pushed him away. Not now. I'm sweaty and people are watching. And indeed they were. 3 different guys got stomped on their feet by their girlfriends for calling Naruto a lucky bastard, and 2 girls stormed off on their boyfriends for not being spontaneous. Anyway, I'll pick you up at 7:30, we can't be late. Sune threatened to cut off my ramen. That means she is serious, he finished with an exaggerated shout. Fine, but you should cut down on how much ramen you eat. It can't be healthy to eat ramen 4 times a week, soccer player says. For your information, I used to eat it 7 times a week. Sune forced me to stop with her evil puppy dog eyes. Watching them from the corner, Scott scoffs. Why is Jean with that ramen-obsessed idiot? Doesn't she know he will break her heart when he learns she is a mutant? Scene change. Baxter Building, front door. Alright Jean, just be yourself, okay? There is no need to be nervous. Also remember that Johnny can be an idiot sometimes, but he means well usually. She nods as Naruto presses the top floor for the elevator. The elevator door opens, and he was greeted by the 3/4 of the future superhero team. Hello Naruto, so this is the Jean I've heard nothing about. Female blonde said, much to the whiskered blonde's ire. Nice to meet you, Jean. It's nice to meet you as well, Dr. Storm. Jean says nervously, here I brought this, passing a set of wine glasses. Thank you very much, and please, just call me Sue. Yo Jean, nice to see you again. Sis, I'm starving, let's just eat already, hot-headed teen said. Maybe we should eat. I'm hungry as well, Super Genius added. Yes, sorry about being late, Xjinchuriki apologized. Don't worry about it, since you were only late by 15 minutes you can make it up by not having any ramen for a week, Sue said. Naruto's looked like she just kicked his dog. So Jean, tell us about yourself, Sue said as she walked them towards the dinner table. The dinner went on like that, Sue learning all she could about Jean, except her mutation, of course, and after dinner Sue secretly approaches Naruto. Naruto, you hit the jackpot. She is smart, kind and gorgeous. Girls like us are 1 in a million. So don't you dare let her go. And if you are ever confused on how to act, just think about what Reed or Johnny would do and do the opposite. Chuckles, sure thing. And thanks for going easy on her. At least you didn't have Reed do a full background check on her, and then threaten to call the cops like you've done with Johnny's first girlfriend. For the last time. Johnny was 14 and that girl was 18 at the time, and she smelled the pot. He hugs her in mid-rage. See you next week, Sune. Yes, see you, she says, returning the hug. Scene change. Outside of X Mansion. That was far better than I expected, Xjinchuriki said with a smile. Yeah, they seem real nice, Redhead said before planting a small kiss on her boyfriend's cheek. Call me. Sure thing, Databeo. His face immediately flushed. Stupid verbal tick. Chuckle. Jean walks inside the mansion, and as soon as she does, her sensei stops her. Hello Jean, Scott told me you went to meet with Naruto's parents. Jean sees that Scott was laying on the floor, beaten up. No. Those were his friends. Tomato, he will come tomorrow morning for breakfast. I'll make pancakes. Groans, please don't make me do this. Older Redhead smirks and passes her the phone. Sigh, hey Naruto, Mito-sensei wants to meet you. Could you come by the mansion at 9 o'clock for breakfast? Sure thing, Jean. I'm about to enter a tunnel. Love you. She walks a bit away from Mito and mumbles love you too. Older X-Man chuckles at her student. -2 years later, Naruto's POV. Jean and I are sitting on my couch. I sneaked some wine and brought some cheese, so we decided to spend the day at home. Today is the day I finally tell Jean everything about me, no more secrets. It's already been over 2 years since we started dating and I've already told Johnny others about my powers over a year ago. I have no more excuses left. I don't even know how Jean will react. I mean, will she see me as a monster? Sure, Fantastic Four and Avengers are adored by the public, but that's different. Reed and I says my powers are a mutation and mutants are apparently viewed as abominations by society for some stupid-ass reason. Looking back, I still can't believe how Johnny and others survived the space fall and even got superpowers. They even became a superhero team, for crying out loud. Sigh, forget about it. I looked in her emerald green eyes. God, they are beautiful. And I took a deep breath. I need to tell you something / I have something to tell you, we both said at the same time. Jean's POV. Today is the day I'm finally going to tell him everything about me. I've been keeping it a secret because Professor believes our mutation would frighten people. But Naruto is different. I still remember how supportive he was when Reed, Johnny and Sue got their powers. He wasn't even scared of the thing. I know it's not the same thing as mutants. Being the next step in evolution tends to scare most people, but I trust him. I looked into his azure blue eyes. They have so much love in them, hope it never changes. And took a deep breath. I need to tell you something / I have something to tell you, we both said at the same time. General POV. The two teenagers stopped for a second until the whiskered blonde spoke again. You go first. Mine is pretty big. And phrasing. Jean nods and takes a deep breath. I have been hiding something from you and I think you deserve to know. At this point Naruto forgot that he was going to tell Jean his secrets, and starts thinking of his worst nightmare. Did Jean cheat on me with that sunglasses douche? No, she wouldn't. It's something I should have told you a long time ago, but I was scared how you would react. I couldn't live with myself if you hated me. What are you talking about, Jean? He said while thinking there is no way. Naruto, I'm special. Like everyone else in the mansion. Like Reed, Johnny and Sue, but slightly different. Any idea the boy had about killing Summers was put to the back of his mind. What? Jean puts her hand up and the bottle of wine slowly fly towards her. She looks at those blue orbs blooming with questions, hoping that he would accept her as she is. I'm a mutant. Thank God, I thought that you cheated on me for a second. He released a breath he didn't know he was holding. Wait, what? Cheat on you? How could you even think that? I would never cheat on anyone, especially on you. She glares at the ex-Jinchuriki of Kurama. Naruto laughs sheepishly while scratching the back of his head. Sorry, it's just I was surprised. I didn't expect you to be the same as me. He holds his hand up and created a rose made out of wind. Jean's eyes widen. Something clicked. You are the Maelstrom, the one who helps out Fantastic Four and even Avengers from time to time. How could I not see it? The mask helps chuckle. So is everyone in the mansion really a mutant? Yes, so what can you do? News says you can manipulate air and earth, but the professor thinks it is something different. I can control vectors, both magnitude and direction, and influence objects that have vectors. That's how I can do all those cool things you saw on the news. What about you? Well, I can manipulate objects with my mind and that's weird. Why can't I read your mind? Wait, you are a telepath? She nods. Oh, that doesn't work on me. I have a shield around me that makes me immune to almost anything. Wait, isn't that too overpowered? Naruto shrugs. When you team up God of Hammers and Green Rage Monster with Invincible Pants, you stop thinking like that. I'm not even going to mention some of the guys we fought, like the one who eats planets for snacks or dimensional bug armies. I guess that's FAI. He cuts her off. Well, there is still one more thing I need to tell you. I'm not from around here. What do you mean? I'm from a different dimension full of ninja. Jean's eyes widen. Are you from Konoha? The air starts to spin around Naruto. How do you know about that place? His voice had a tint of threat. Jean, who had never seen Naruto like this, was scared for a second. Mimito-sensei is from Konoha. Naruto drops any hostility and stops manipulating air. What? Yes, she came to this world around 40 years ago and got her mutation during the dimensional travel. Jean said while she was still slightly scared. Apparently she used to hold a powerful beast at bay, but got too old to do so, and to survive the extraction she created a jutsu. But the jutsu sent her to a new dimension. Naruto facepalms. Of course, I remember my father saying they had to use Mito-sama's jutsu. I just never thought they could be the same person. Any fear the girl had towards her boyfriend was replaced with curiosity. Your parents knew Mito-sensei? I don't know, probably. Would you like to go see her? I know you always wanted to learn more about your mother. She might know something. Redhead said with a look of hope. Her sensei would love to meet someone like herself. Naruto thinks about it, and nods his head. They go outside and get into the birthday present Reed had bought for him, an orange 2010 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and take off for the X-Mansion. On the way, Jean had informed the professor with her telepathy, who in turn explained the situation to Mito. Scene change, X-Mansion. Naruto wasn't sure what to do. For the first time since coming here, he was going to meet someone from his own world. Sure, he had met Mito before, but not like this. Hey, nice to see you again, Dadabayo. He flusters as his verbal thick came back. Before he could say anything more, Mito looked at his face and started to notice similarities between Kushina and Jean's boyfriend. She then ran at him in blinding speeds and hugged the previous Jinchuriki of Kyubi. She shed some tears and finally let him go. I can't believe I've already met my great-grandnephew and didn't know about it. What? Jean and Naruto shouted at the same time. Professor rolled in, and pun on purpose, maybe we should get inside and sit down first before discussing what's going on. They all nod and sit down in the living room. Other residents of the mansion wanted to join the conversation as well, but Professor telepathically suggested to ignore them. So Mito-san, how do you know my mother? Not sure how to approach this woman. I met Kushina-chan when she was born. I was there when my niece gave birth to her after all. As you might know, Uzumaki used to reside in Uzushio, but we were still in an alliance with Konoha, and your mother was sent to Konoha to be the next Jinchuriki, as only an Uzumaki can hold the strongest of the Bijou. Sadly, we Uzumaki were renowned for our Fuinjutsu, and the 4 great villages came together and eventually destroyed Uzushio. Your mother was heartbroken. I comforted her before it was time for her to take over my duty as Kyubi's Jinchuriki. Naruto's voice gains a tint of hostility as he connects some dots Mito might have missed due to her love for Hashirama or Konoha. So you're telling me that my mother came to Konoha to be their war deterrent, and then, coincidentally, the village she loved more than anything and would be more loyal to was destroyed. Mito's eyes widened. There is no way Konoha could betray Uzumaki like that. We supported Hashirama, my husband, greatly when he was first forming the village. To this day Konoha shinobi wear our clan symbol underneath their flak jackets. Well, I have bad news for you, Bachan. Those Aholis don't give a rat's about their allies. They treated me like a pariah because of that so-called duty, and you stand there, and telling me it's just a coincidence Uzushio got destroyed right after my mother came to become their weapon. And you let that happen? Only thing stopping Naruto from lashing out at Mito at this point was Jean holding onto his arm. Mito was speechless. Oh, how did I not see it? Konoha was weakened as Senju were dying out, and they needed something to strengthen themselves, and they did it with Kushina and all the Fuinjutsu she brought with her. I doubt the monkey would do something like that. It must have been that damn Warhawk. He was too obsessed with Konoha's superiority. He must have sold Uzumaki out. Mito started shedding tears as her views on Konoha, a place she came to love, was changing. I am sorry, I had no idea. I didn't even think about it before. I can't believe they could betray us like this. And I am sorry for not being there to help you. Jean looks at Naruto and whispers him to calm down. Naruto took a deep breath, calming down a bit, and frowned. It's not entirely your fault. That damn village betrayed your trust, like they did to my father's trust. He was the Hokage, you know. He wanted them to see me as a hero, but they saw me as the beast I hold, and they even created a new sport called fox hunt, you know. Mito was more furious than she had ever been in her long life. How can that damn village treat the last son of Yuza like this? They even have the gall to wear our clan symbol. I need to make this up to Naruto. It's partially my fault as I was the one who enslaved the beast and practically forced it onto Kushina. Jean's hold on Naruto had tightened greatly, and a minute passed in silence. Deciding to break the silence and change the dreaded mood, Naruto, I have a question about your mutation, if you don't mind. Charles said. Shoot it, Professor. He says, normally I'm able to detect mutants, especially powerful ones, with the help of a machine. Despite being so close to the mansion, and obviously being a powerful mutant yourself, Cerebro never picked up on you. Do you have any idea why? Naruto wasn't sure about being truthful or not. He had never felt comfortable around the man. But seeing that Jean trusted him, Whiskered Mutant decided to take a leap of faith. My mutation allows me to reflect all vectors, including your telepathy. Does that mean you have chakra, but I can't sense it? Mito asks. Naruto nods his head. But I can't really use it anyway. They never really taught us much in academy, especially to me. Mito winces but quickly recovers. Maybe I can teach you. While your chakra network should also be damaged, like my own, you can still learn chakra control exercises to increase your strength and speed further. Plus I can teach you Fuinjutsu once your control is good enough. Naruto takes on a thinking pose for a minute. I would like that, Bachan. Mito's face puts on a devilish smile. Since I'm going to train you, how about we have a quick spar to see how good you are? Scene change, danger room. Bachan, are you sure you want to do this? I usually spar against guys far more powerful than you, and even they can't really hurt me. Granted, we hold back so no one gets seriously hurt. Don't worry, my mutation is regeneration, so I can survive anything you or those far more powerful guys can throw at me. So don't hold back. Naruto smirks as he smacks the ground with his feet, making the entire room shake. Mito manages to stabilize herself by using basic chakra control exercise. However, she was not expecting for him to kick a pebble at her. The pebble traveled at speeds too fast even for her, to the point it was destroyed before even reaching the red-headed kunoichi. But the force of it still hits Mito, piercing her shoulder. Naruto kicked more pebbles. Mito used her superior speed to dodge most of them, but one still managed to hit her in the stomach, causing her to fall on her knees. You should just give up, Bachan. I don't like to brag, but I'm very strong. Unless you could shrug off nukes or destroy giant meteors, you shouldn't really fight against me. Naruto, there's something I forgot to tell you about Uzumaki that caught Naruto's interest. We never give up. Mito used the fact that Naruto was distracted to throw 4 kunais in a square formation, with the Whiskered Mutant in the middle of them. Mito does a Tiger Seal Kai. Each of them unleashes 1 billion volt of electricity directly at Naruto. This should teach him he is not invincible. I met many good shinobi and mutant that believed themselves the strongest, almost always leading to an early grave. What surprised everyone, however, was the fact Naruto walked out without a worry. That was a pretty good attack, but something of that level can't even put a scratch on me. I don't think even a nuke would hurt me at this point. After that, Naruto simply manipulates his own vectors to rush at the elder kunoichi in blinding speed, and blows her away by a simple tap on her face, both literally and figuratively. Mito crushes into a wall, destroying the said wall and knocking the red-headed kunoichi unconscious. Chuckles. So what do you think about me now, Bachan? Mito, however, was out of it and wasn't responding. Ups, I used too much power there. Sorry, Bachan. Thor and Bruce can shrug that off, and Ben can keep on going, so I thought maybe you could take it. Ha! The onlookers were all had different thoughts going on there. One who was most shocked was the leader of the X-Men. How could he beat Mito-sensei so easily? She is one of the strongest mutants out there, and this guy just tapped her out. Yes, young Naruto seems to be a very powerful mutant. His mutation seems to give him an incredible set of powers to the point Mito wasn't even able to touch him. He might be an Omega Professor, mumbled the last part. To be continued. Ups, I used too much power there. Sorry, Bachan. Thor and Bruce can shrug that off, and Ben can keep on going, so I thought maybe you could take it. Ha ha ha. And phrasing. The onlookers were all had different thoughts going on there. One who was most shocked was the leader of the X-Men. How could he beat Mito-sensei so easily? She is one of the strongest mutants out there, and this guy just tapped her out. Yes, young Naruto seems to be a very powerful mutant. His mutation seems to give him an incredible set of powers to the point Mito wasn't even able to touch him. He might be an Omega Professor, mumbled the last part. Continued. What's an Omega Professor? Scott asks. You see, Scott, We mutants can be classified according to our gifts. Epsilon level mutants, they almost always view their mutation as a curse. They are the ones who have no real powers at all, but cannot hide their mutations. Delta level mutants are those who can pass for human at first glance. But their power is not something that is obvious. Most of them go through their lives without even realizing their mutation. At least 50% of mutants are delta mutants, making them the most common type of mutant. Gamma level mutants are also pretty handy in combat situations. But as a result of their X gene, they cannot pass for human without the use of a disguise of some sort. Beta level mutants are those who have some traits that sets them apart from others, like an unusual eye color, skeleton, or the fact their powers can't be controlled properly. They also possess powerful traits, such as your optic blasts. Alpha level mutants are those with powerful mutant traits but without any significant flaws. Finally, Omega level mutants are the ones who have no apparent limit to their powers. I and many others believe they will become the key for the future of mutant kind. However, only few has the potential to ever reach that level. And take this from a website and adapted a bit.com. Oh, how powerful do you think he is? Scott asked nervously, as he had always been in the wrong foot with the blonde. Well, Scott, there is a good chance that Mr. Uzumaki is the most powerful mutant alive, and he doesn't know about Gene's Phoenix or his son Legion. P.S. No MJJ in this FIC. Back with Naruto Mito. After a few minutes, Mito's healing factor kicked in, bringing her consciousness back. She looks up and sees a smiling Naruto. Bachan, you are pretty strong. I only met like 10 or so people stronger than you. And you might be the strongest superheroine I met, though Sune would probably disagree. Mito lifts herself up. I guess you really are strong. I wanted to show you that there is always someone stronger out there, but you don't need to do that, Bachan. I've already met one of the strongest beings out there. You know, when me and Fantastic Four took on the giant planet eater, even one of his heralds, Terex, nearly killed me. I only survived because Rita and I managed to pull some BS sci-fi crap out of his crazy brain. Honestly, calling him a genius at this point seems like an insult. Mito's eyes widened. You are the Maelstrom. Sorry, I forgot to mention it. Really, I thought more people would recognize me as I don't hide my hair. I guess a simple mask really does wonders. If my super kunoichi auntie can't tell it's me. Chuckles, guess so, but I still think you need more training. You are powerful, yes, but you have no fighting style and just use your instincts, she said. Yeah, I mean, I would like to learn more about fighting chakra. But the real reason I said I would train with you is because I want to spend more time with you. You are the first blood relative I've ever met, he muttered the last part. Mito gently smiles. That's good to hear. Professor, and the rest of the X-Men rolls in. Jean runs at him and hugs him, planting a kiss much to the ire of Scott and Rogue. You were great out there. I've never imagined anyone beating Mito-sensei, especially so easily. It was a magnificent spar, Mr. Uzumaki. I'm wondering if you would be open to the idea of joining my school here. We train young mutants, like you, in controlling their powers and help foster a friendly human-mutant relationship. Thanks for the offer, Professor, but I think I'll stay in my flat, at least for now. Charles frowns but nods his head. It's a shame, but you will always have a place to stay if you change your mind. Spike comes running to Naruto. Dude, you were so cool out there. Ja, my friend. You were incredible, Blue Furry says. Yes, my nephew is very powerful. I guess it's true what Hashirama used to say, the next generation will always surpass the previous one. It's one of the never-ending cycles in life. Wise words, African goddess said. Growls, sorry for main stomach, but I think we should grab something to eat. Ja, after Naruto eats lunch with X-Men, he gets up to leave. But before he could, Mito approaches to him. Naruto, I want to tell you again that I'm sorry for not being there for you before. You might not know this, but for an Uzumaki, mistreating their young is the biggest insult. If I was there, I would never something like this happen. Honestly, Bachan, I'm not exactly sure how to feel about all this. I know I blame the village and Hokages. I don't know if I should blame my father or not, but I know I shouldn't blame you for it. You weren't there, but if you were, you sure as hell wouldn't let something like that happen. Mito dropped a few tears of joy. Thank you, database. She flushed to the same color of her face. Damn it, I thought I got rid of that verbal tick years ago. Why does it have to return every time I'm flustered? You say database like I say databeo? Yeah, most Uzumaki has it. Your mother used to say databane. Naruto smiles and hugs Mito. I'll call you later, Bachan. You still have to teach me those cool seals, you know. Mito nods her head. Yeah, come by next week when the X-Men are going on a survival trip. I still think we should just tell them not to use powers and drop them in a wolf's den. I really don't like how Charles babies them sometimes. She looks thoughtful. Remembering his refusal to join, you are not disappointed because I didn't join, are you? Whiskered Blonde asks. Honestly, I'm kinda sad that you won't be living with us, but not disappointed. It is your choice after all. She hugs him. See you soon. See you, Bachan. Naruto left the mansion while thinking, how the hell I'm going to explain this to Sune? Next week. Sune, you really don't have to come, and you definitely didn't have to bring the entire Fantastic Four with you. Whiskered Blonde teen shouted out. Yes, sis, I had a breakfast date. Is it with that Courtney girl again? Didn't she call you frenemy? Why are you still with her? Sue asks. Johnny makes an I don't know gesture. Wait, you are with that hot supermodel Courtney Keaton? Blonde mutant exclaims. Yeah, and unlike you, I'm not stuck in the second base. Seriously, dude, wait to take it slow, Human Torch said. Shut it, Johnny. Women like Jean and I are quality, You can't rush things with us, Sue said. Quality my ass, Johnny mumbles, but got his by an invisible slap to the head. OWW. I heard that. Naruto turns his eyes to Reed, hoping he might put some sense into his fiancée, but the super genius does the smart thing and looks away. We are here, female blonde said. When they got to the outer door of the mansion, they were greeted by younger members of the X-Men were in sportswear. With a speed that would surpass Quicksilver, Kitty appears before the Human Torch. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you are Human Torch. CA, can I ask you a question? Sure thing. He had a smug look on his face, flashing a grin at Ben, who frowns. Can you give me Spider-Man's phone number? Ha 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 ha. The thing was laughing his ass off at Johnny. Webhead is more famous than you. Kitty, Spidey is the poster boy for secret identities. He hides who he is from everyone, even in the superhero community, Naruto said with a forced smile. How do you know? She asks. Oh, I'm Maelstrom, but don't tell anyone. I don't really hide it from other heroes, but don't want public to know, or else it would be a hassle to go around living a semi-normal life. He could hear older F4 members grumbling something along the lines of, I should have worn a mask and I'm giant pile of orange rocks. What good is a secret identity? Kitty looks at him with wide eyes. You are the Maelstrom. It's like, totally unbelievable. But you Dio have the same hair as him. Everyone else, except Jean, were just as shocked. But they didn't have time to ask questions as the Red Devil herself approached towards them. See, Charles I told you they would prefer my survival training. They are still here after all. They all grabbed their stuff and raced towards the X-Jeep. After they left, Sue and Mito slowly walked towards each other. So you are the old hag? My favorite blonde couldn't shut up about a hey was heard from Johnny, but nobody cared. Yes, he mentioned something about a blonde woman with the power of invisibility, and from what I can see spending too much money on hair products. The men who were watching the two would swear that electricity was coming out of both their eyes. After a while, Johnny asks Reed, should we do something? Being the smart man he is, Reed shook his head negatively. Let's just wait. The two women finally took a step back. When they did take a step back, both had a sweet smile on their faces. This time Ben approaches the smartest man on earth. Reed, I think we made a mistake coming here. Sue looks towards his three teammate, and Naruto, you four stay here, me and Miss Senju will speak inside. Mito looks at her two teammate and Naruto, yes we will. After they go inside, the tension in the air was lifted and replaced with 6 men who had no clue what was going on. After 2 hours, the two got out of the mansion. They both were laughing, and smelled of alcohol, and then when he saw me for the first time he asked me if I was an angel because only an angel could have been this kind and beautiful, Sue said in a drunken speech. Oh, that's so cute. I wish I was there. Then Mito got depressed and started drawing circles on the ground. I missed his cutest years. Sue come and patted her on the back. There. Everything will be alright. To say the men outside were shocked was an understatement. Sue looks at the Omega mutant. Naruto, you can train with Miko. Hup, she and I are friends now, so it's okay for her to teach you. Giving him the thumbs up, Ben grabbed Sue and this was weird. Reed looks at Charles. It was nice seeing you again, Charles, but we should be on our way. Telepath nods and the Fantastic Four leave. Naruto looks at Mito, who was still drawing circles. Can she still teach me despite being drunk? What are you talking about, bub? With our healing factor it would take an entire bar to get mildly tipsy. Damn healing power bullshit. Logan mumbled the last part. Mito turns towards Naruto and smiles. Come with me, Naruto. Today we are going to do a survival test. Also, no powers are allowed. But if you pass, I'll teach you the basics of chakra. She grabs him and start running at blinding speed. Logan turns towards Charles. Did she tell you where she was going? All he got was a negative head shake. Hope the kid survives. -5 hours later, Naruto was sitting in the middle of a bonfire, eating wolf meat. Mito approaches him, clearly not expecting him to perform so well. I'm surprised you performed as well as you did. Most X-Men would complain non-stop in any one of my trainings, but you haven't complained once. This is nothing. There was this one time villagers found me and thrown me in Forest of Death, and I had to survive with bare hands for a few days before you found me. That is, Mito's rage from few days ago had returned. She couldn't help but ask, how old were you then? I don't know, 5. In this moment Mito really wanted to go back to Konoha and slaughter every single living thing in there. So did I pass? Yeah, you pass. We will start with basics. So what do you know about chakra? Not much. It is used for jutsus, and it's some kind of an energy. That's all I really remember. Mito give a blank expression before nodding. Well, chakra is created when 2 other forms of energy, known collectively as one stamina, are molded together. Physical energy is collected from each and every one of the body cells and can be increased through training, stimulants, and exercise. Spiritual energy is derived from the mind's consciousness and can be increased through study, meditation, and experience. And Uzumaki were also known for their large chakra pools, and since you haven't even learned the most basic chakra control exercise, your control should be atrocious. It would be best if we start with a more chakra-laxing control exercise. So, you'll be learning tree climbing. Mito finished her explanation. I know how to climb a tree, Naruto said. Redhead smirked. Not with your hands, here, watch. She slowly walked towards the tree and walked straight up. What do you think? I think this chakra thing might be cooler than I imagined. Rest of the day was spent with Naruto running up and falling down a tree. At the end of the day he made it halfway up to one of the larger trees in the forest. How was that, Bachan? Well, I've learned this exercise when I was 6, so I can't really compare myself to you, can I? She had a mocking smile. Let's just go back, Whiskered Blonde said. Hee hee. The duo left for the mansion, and when they learned Juggernaut had attacked, Naruto went to find Jean. When he sneaked into the prison, invisible thanks to vector manipulation, Naruto saw Jean and Scott. It felt kind of right, didn't it? Hero with sunglasses asked. What did? Younger redhead returned the question. You know, us and them, brotherhood, fighting alongside. Why can't they just stop drawing battle lines in the sand? Well, it's like Logan said. You can't control the will of others. Says the telepath. Yeah, I know. Hey, maybe they'll come around. You could be their conscience. You're good at it. Oh, shut up, she said while flirty pushing him. Hey, even good guys need a nudge once in a while. Jean, whenever you think I need it, nudge away. Seeing the two flirt like that increased Naruto's jealousy. To be continued. The X-Men were in their rooms, asleep. Naruto was sleeping in a room they provided, using the excuse of studying under Mito to stay the last 2 weeks. In truth, he didn't feel comfortable leaving Jean and Scott under one roof. Tonight everything was quiet and peaceful till, oh! Rogue screamed as she woke up from a horrible nightmare, making Naruto and the others jump out of their bed and went to check it out. When Naruto got there, he saw Scott and his girlfriend coming at the same time. The dark part of him would have killed the sunglasses-wearing douche, but he chose to ignore it. Rogue, are you alright? What happened? Scott asked, standing next to Naruto and Jean. I don't know, I had a god-awful nightmare with these images, Rogue said as she grabbed her blanket. Yeah, her shrieking totally freaked me out. I about phased through the bed. Kitty said. I guess those finals are getting to you. Scott said. No, this isn't the first time I've had this dream before. They started after I moved here. Rui said. What exactly did you see in this nightmare? Blonde asked as Kurt and Spike walked in. Wolves, a creep castle, and a poor baby dropped into a river, Rogue said. I didn't really see his face, but I seem to know. She looks at Kurt to know him somehow. What? Why are you looking at me like that? What's wrong? It was you, Rogue said in an accusing tone, but not meaning. What was me? Blue Devil asks. Somehow I just know it was you, Kurt. Girl with heavy makeup says. What are you talking about? In the dream there was a baby crying. Someone, a woman, I think I didn't really see her face, was running. And the baby was dropped into the river. And you think that baby was me? Why am I having this dream? I think you should talk to the old man about this. He is the telepath, Naruto said. Yeah, but let's go to him in the morning, his girlfriend said. A telepathic message reached out to all of them. No need, Jean. This matter is important. Later, Mito, Kurt, Rogue and Professor were sitting in his office. Professor had already theorized that the dreams were about Kurt as an infant. I always know my parents adopted me, but they never said anything about me being fished out of a river, Kurt said. Does it matter where they found you? Mito asked. Well, no, I guess not. But why is Rogue having these dreams? Kurt asked. Didn't she touch you when you two first met? It's possible she absorbed some of your memories, she theorized. You were just a baby there. It couldn't have been his memories, Rogue retorted. It is possible for Kurt to have memories that far back. But for now I recommend that all of you get some sleep, Charles said, making Rogue and Kurt leave while Mito stayed. I'm going to go on a limb here and guess that Mystique is his mother, right? Mito asked. Possibly. I always felt there was a resemblance between the two back then, but I never proved it, Charles said. Is Hank his father? I remember them dating when we first met. Charles shook his head. Raven left the institute 17 years ago. Kurt is only 15. It must be someone else's. Mito, however, wasn't so sure about that. Next morning, you have been carrying a terrible burden for many years, Mystique, Charles said as he was in the principal's office. Rogue's contact with you seems to have given her some of your darker memories. Nightmares about a very unfortunate night involving an incident, Charles said. You're fishing. You know nothing, Mystique said. Mito and I both know about your relationship with the boy Mystique. What we don't know is what Magneto did to him, Charles said. What were you two up to in that castle? Was it worth the loss of your son? Charles asked, making her eyes widen, remembering that night, while also giving Charles the opportunity to look into her mind, seeing the location of the castle. Get out. Get out now, Mystique said in anger before he rolled to the door. Just in case you're curious, he turned out to be a fine lad, Charles said, leaving, making her sigh in regret over the loss of her son. As soon as Charles left, however, Mito appeared. She released full might of her killing intent on Mystique, turning her back to her original, blue form. Hello, Mystique. I'm sure you remember me. I have a question about your son. What is it? She weakly asked. Who is the father? Scene change. Charles was outside the school. He reached out telepathically. Logan, I've got the coordinates, Charles said through their minds. Fire away, Logan said as he fired up the X-Jet and flew to where the castle was. Meanwhile, Naruto had just given his finals, waiting for Jean outside. After 15 minutes she had finally gotten out. To his joy, she was coming out at the same time as her childhood friend who had a crush on her. Naruto walked to Jean and slightly lifts her up, turning her around once and giving her a kiss. Not now, people are watching, she says. But Naruto didn't care and kissed her again. He then looked at the hurt look at Scott's face, and he smirked, then turned back to his beautiful girlfriend. How was your exam? He asks. Pretty good, think I got an A, And I don't even need to ask you since you never got anything but A's and A's in your life. Well, that's not true. When I was in the academy I was the dead last, bottom of the class in everything but good looks. I was the top of the class in that. I can see that, she says in a flirty manner. The three walked towards one of Summer's friends and Scott has few words with him. Then they heard Rogue and Kurt having a loud argument, so they made their way there. Before they got there, Kurt turned to his blue form / devil form / real form, and, don't know the politically correct term for this, and teleported away. Man, what was that about? Leader of X-Men asked. He's still really worked up about last night. Well, we better go find him. Rogue answers with a tone of worry. Half an hour later, Wolverine was jumping out of an exploding lab, while Kurt had found an invitation to know the truth about his past thanks to Quicksilver. Well, here I am, Kurt said. Hello, Kurt. Mystique said from under a dark hood. You're the one from Rogue's dream. Who are you? Kurt asked. You already know who I am, son. Mystique said, showing her face, making his eyes widen before suddenly Blob dropped down in front of them. Get out of here, Mystique shouted, but he just ignored her as the rest of the Brotherhood arrived. Sorry, but we've got higher orders, so this whole Quicksilver tried to say before he was hit by a high-speed pebble, knocking him out. A mysterious figure with kitsune mask appeared before them. Now why are you all dressed up so weirdly and ganging up on a single boy? If this is a weird sex orgy thing, you need to gang up on the blue girl over there, not the blue boy. Lance looks at the new man and shakes a bit. Shit, it's an Avenger. What the hell an Avenger doing here? Naruto smirked behind the mask. Well, first of all, not an Avenger. I'm just the guy they invite to Christmas parties and world-ending gatherings, you know, the usual kind. Toad didn't wait any longer and attacked the vector manipulator with his tongue. Naruto easily caught the boy's tongue and threw him towards a construction machine with enough force to knock out an elephant. Stop it, you idiots, you are ruining everything, Mystique exclaims. Of course nobody listened and Lance started to generate an earthquake in Naruto's direction. That was a pretty good quake you got there. Let me show you mine. He slammed the ground with his shoe and the quake he generated under Lance sent him flying. He looks at the blob that was rushing at him. Using a simple tap he sent the large boy unconsciousness. When Maelstrom looked for Mystique he couldn't find her anywhere. At this point the X-Men appear and looking at the downed Brotherhood. What happened here? Their fearless leader asks. Dude, it was so cool. Brotherhood set up a trap for me, but an Avenger came and rescued me. Blue Devil said with stars on his eyes. Not an Avenger, Naruto chimed in. Next day, Mito was in front of Hank's office. She knocks on the door. Come in. Mito walks in and sees her friend and ex-teammate. Hello, Hank. Mito, it's great to see you. It's been ages. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. I am actually here to talk to you about something. What is it? Mito takes a picture out of a seal on her arm. Take a look. What do you see? Hank looks at the boy carefully. He seems to be a young mutant boy. He has a similar gift to my own, he said while giving her the picture. Does he wish for a similar solution? No, nothing like that. His name is Kurt. He is a fine young man and recently I've learned that he is Mystique's son. Oh, how old is he? He is 15, making it impossible for him to be yours under a normal situation. But possible for a special pregnancy. Like say for a mutant. That's not all. I've gone and asked Mystique who his father was and she said it was you. Hank fall to his chair. Hank McCoy had been many things in his life. A genius scientist, a lover, an athlete, even a beast. But never in his wildest dreams or nightmares did he ever imagine he would become a father. When can I meet him? You will. His name is Kurt Wagner, and he is a student in Bayville High. But as your friend I ask you not to reveal it to him, at least not yet. I'm not sure the boy can handle it. I understand. Thank you for telling me, he said. Redhead approaches to the brunette and gives him a hug. You are a good man, Hank, never change. Can you tell me more about him? She smiles and nods her head. Next day, Naruto's POV. Ring. Hey Johnny, can we talk for a bit? I need advice. Yeah, get over yourself and fly to my flat. Sure, see you. 5 minutes later, Johnny was in my living room. So basically I've been feeling this weird things whenever I see Scott and Jean together. Sometimes a part of me tells me to get rid of Summers. The first said. Wow dude, you are obviously jealous, my best friend said. I know that, but what should I do? I don't know, never been jealous in my life. You should ask sis, she probably knows what to do. Grown, I called you to give me a childish idea, like hacking Scott's mind and have him leave New York or turn him gay. Maybe even asking Reed to build a device that keeps two people apart. But for the first time in your life, you, Johnny Storm, decide to be the mature one. Oh boy, I might really need help. Haha, but jokes aside, Sue has been dating Reed, an oblivious guy with lots of issues for 6 years. She probably forgot more about relationship issues than either of us will ever know, he said with a slight smirk. Fine, I'm calling her. Happy, I picked up the phone and called her. Hey Sune, would you mind dropping in? I need advice. 15 minutes later, Sune was also in my living room. And that's it. What do you think I should do? She looks at me with that angelic smile of hers. Naruto, everyone feels jealous from time to time. Best thing you could do is talk to her, and be honest about how you feel. I knew she was right, so I just nod and hug her. But as soon as the hug was over, also I'm throwing away all the ramen in your fridge for calling Johnny before me. I wanted to argue, but I knew she wouldn't listen. Fine, just go away you two. I need to talk to Jean. They leave after Sue kills every ramen in my fridge. Insert crying SpongeBob gif. Ring. To be continued. Minus 20 minutes later, General POV. Naruto and Jean were sitting on the couch. He was looking at her eyes and trying to find the courage to tell her how he really feels. Listen, Jean, after Juggernaut's incident, me and Mito come to the mansion late at night. By then you went to the Stokes County prison with Professor Logan and Summers. I was worried about you, so I went there flying. To get inside the prison I'd hidden myself, but when I got there I saw you and Summers so close to each other I felt jealous. Since then I get this urge to keep you and Summers away. I know it's not right nor fair, but it's how I feel. Jean looks at her boyfriend with mixture of feelings. I see. Naruto, I need you to know that there is nothing between Scott and I. He is nothing more than a friend. I know that. But try to see it from my point of view. He is your childhood friend, who you live in the same house. Also, it is clear as day to anyone that he has a major crush on you. Scott doesn't have a crush on me. Jean, seriously? You are an empath. Think about any time you two were alone somewhere. You must have gotten the occasional vibes that he has feelings for you. I know that you don't like him that way, but I just feel uncomfortable that the woman I love lives with her childhood friend who happens to have a crush on her. Then what do you want me to do? You want me to leave the mansion? She goes on the offensive. Of course not. I can never ask something like that from you. What I'm asking is for you to speak with Summers, and if he has a crush on you, stay away from him until he gets over his crush. You are asking me to stay away from my oldest friend? No. I'm asking you to stay away from a guy who might steal you away from me. Raw intensity of emotion stops Jean from replying. You two have history, and that history scares me more than any villain has ever done before. She hugs him tightly. Nobody is stealing me away from you. She starts to affectionately kiss him. They continued kissing and started a love-lust-fueled makeout session. Naruto eventually ran his hands through Jean's red hair affectionately, and looked lovingly into her emerald green eyes as the two continued their passionate makeout session. Sky blue eyes looked lovingly into bright green as the two lovers held onto each other dearly and kissed each other passionately. After what felt like ages, they finally broke the kiss. Jean takes some long strides over by Naruto's bed. She looks back at him with a lustful smile. Both of them knew where this was going. They had already talked about it many and mutually agreed to wait, and, not really, they decided to wait until Jean gives him the go-ahead. Jean, are you sure? Naruto asked. Later, Jean regains her strength, but more importantly her senses. I can't believe we had unprotected sex. What happens if I got pregnant? Naruto smiles knowingly to his lover. Well, when we were having sex my mutation kinda acted like a condom, and I only let it stop when I was coming on your ass. Jean blushed a bit and playfully hit him in the chest. They continued to lay there for a bit, and Naruto finally spoke. Hey Jean, what are we going to do? What do you mean? I'm glad we finally took this step, but my feelings towards you and Summers hasn't changed. I know I'll try to be more careful around him, alright? Naruto smiles and kisses her. He then looked at her naked body ready for round 2. He wasn't sure what she said, but it sounded awfully like Stamina Freak Uzumaki's. To be continued. X Mansion. Naruto decided to go and surprise Jean since it was a Friday, and he had been busy this week helping out Fantastic Four with the world's latest problem. I can't believe how cliché that Namor guy was. I mean, stealing a warhead to make demands to the UN. Who does he think he is, Dr. Evil? Also, what's up with every time F4 faces a king they kidnap Sune? Doom did that a year ago. I mean, this was slightly different as this douche of a king was actually being manipulated by a warlord, but still. It doesn't matter anymore. I can just relax with Jean now. When Naruto got to the mansion, he saw a metal ball open up and grab Jean inside with steel tentacles. Naruto shot towards the metal ball, but the ball had already flown away. What the hell is that hentai crap doing with Jean? He created 4 whirlwinds behind his back and flies after the ball. After a few minutes of chasing the ball at full speed, Naruto realized something. Why is the ball going at the same speed as I? This must be a trap, but I need to walk right through it if I want to save Jean. The ball finally reached its destination. Omega Mutant was greeted by the Master of Magnetism. Welcome to the Sanctuary, young Naruto. I wanted to meet you for a while. Who the hell are you, Databeo? My name is Magneto, and despite my desire to talk with you, it's not the time. Why don't you drop your shields and move to a special pod I prepared for you? A pod appeared out of nowhere. Unlike Jean's, this one had a special fluid in it. Naruto wasn't sure if the man was bluffing or not. I should have just met up with others or at least let them know before coming here. Damn it. Seeing Jean get captured like that made me lose all reasoning. If you let her go, I'll do it. I'm sorry, Mr. Uzumaki, but this is not up for debate. A metal blade inside Jean's pod pointed towards her neck. Naruto glared at the man as he slowly walked into the pod. Sorry, Jean. I couldn't save you. Scene change. Hawaii? A blonde surfer was out there catching the waves. His 2 friends came by. Alex. I can't see him, one of them said. There he is. Lounging the bum. Want to paddle out there? He asked. Nah, he looks like he just wants to be alone. We'll catch up with him later, he said as the 2 left. Alex was on his surfboard, wading in the water as he relaxed. Unknown to him that something was eyeing him for a quick snack. Young surfer leaned up to see what was going on but was soon knocked off his board and fell into the water. He then saw a shark and quickly tried to climb back onto his board but lost his grip and fell back into the water. The shark then swam right at him with its jaw wide open and Alex put his hands out, scared for his life. But then his hands turned red and blasted the shark in the face with concussive energy. The shark was hurt but still determined. It swam away and quickly turned around and swam straight at Alex again. Alex was confused at what happened, but when he saw the shark swimming at him again, he had to try it again. He concentrated, and when the shark was close he blasted it with a fully powered plasma blast, and the shark fell to the bottom of the sea, dead. Alex then swam to the surface and tried to catch his breath as his hands continued to glow red and burn. Scene change, X Mansion. Logan walked into the newly finished and revamped Cerebro chambers to see Charles at the controls. So the new Cerebro is online, Logan said. Have you managed to find a way to make this version bypass his shields? No, not yet, but it has pinpointed the emergence of a new mutant. Only partially developed, Charles said. Yeah, so what's the emergency? Logan asked. His name is Alex Masters, once known as Alex Summers, Scott's brother. Charles said. Brother? I thought Scott was the only one to survive that plane crash? Logan asked. Yes, so did I. And so did Scott. Have him meet us in the hangar. We're flying to Hawaii. Oh, and Logan, let's be prepared for trouble. I doubt we're the only ones who have an interest in this young man, Professor X said. Scene change. Back in Hawaii, Alex was able to swim to shore. He was sitting on the beach, his arms and hands still burning but not as much. Man, what is going on with me? Alex asked as he leaned back and laid on the sand. Then a shadow appeared over him. I know the kind of pain you're feeling, Alex. I once had it myself, a voice said as Alex opened his eyes to see a purple-caped and red helmet-wearing man. What, where did you come from? Alex asked. I just arrived to see you. Because I know. You don't know nothing, man. Just back off. Alex interrupted him and walked away. Creep. Your bones, they burn. Your hands ache, the pressure in your head. I can give you relief and answers. You never have to feel pain again. The man said. You some kind of doctor? Alex asked. No, Alex. I am Magneto, and I have come to offer you sanctuary. Magneto said as he floated up and held his hand out to Alex. Scene change. Back with the X-Men. Logan and Mito were preparing the X-Jet and heard Scott talking to Professor X. What? My little brother, she's alive, Scott. Alex is alive, Professor X said. Oh man. I thought he was gone, or I would have been out there looking for him. I should have been looking for him. I mean, I just accepted. Why didn't I? Easy, Scott. Take a breath. Don't blame yourself, Professor X said to calm him down. But all this time, where's he been? Scott asked. Well, as far as I can determine, living with foster parents in Hawaii, Professor X said. Then come on. Let's go, Scott said as he ran into the jet and Professor X followed. The X-Jet engines then turned off and flew out of the hangar as Kitty, Rogue, Evan, Kurt ran into the hangar to see what the noise was about. /PP Hey, what's the deal? I thought we were Hawaii bound. Evan asked. Oh man, Kurt exclaimed. We got totally ditched. Rogue said. Hey, you can't blame Scott. Meeting a brother he hasn't seen in like 10 years. I wouldn't want a crowd either. No way, Kitty said. Hey, I'm thinking Hawaii, not the only beaches in the world, right? Kurt asked. Hello? Road trip anyone? Everyone went to change and grabbed some beach gear. Kurt, who already had his beach clothes on, quickly got in the X-Van and pulled out front. Rogue then came running by. Hustle it up, Rogue, before Andy O shows up and dry docks our plan, Evan said as Rogue entered the van. I couldn't find Jean or Naruto, so I left them a note. Rogue said. All right, buckle up. Beach, here we come, Kurt said as they drove away. As they left the institute, a cat walked by and quickly changed into Mystique. She smiled and then pulled out a walkie-talkie. Change of plans. They're on the move, she said. Not for long, Avalanche said back. Scene change. Hawaii abandoned beach. The X-Jet flew to Hawaii and parked at an abandoned beach. You see anything? Scott asked. No, and the tide's coming in. This whole cove will be underwater in an hour, Logan said. Take a closer look around. Professor X told them both. They looked around the beach and Mito found a surfboard that washed up. This may be his? Mito asked. Maybe, Logan said as he saw something. He saw 2 pairs of footprints on the beach that led from the water to inland while one pair just stopped. Looks like company dropped in on him. Literally, and left the same way. What kind of company? Scott asked. Magneto, Logan said. Who? Scott asked as Logan and Mito just looked at each other. Mito-sensei, who's Magneto? It's a man I wish to never see again, but feel we all might do so, very soon, Mito said. Professor X was in the jet, trying to use his telepathy to find Alex and Magneto. I know you're here, Magneto. I can sense it. Show yourself. Then the jet began to shake violently and soon began to levitate off the ground. Scott, Mito and Logan saw the jet levitate off the ground as Logan growled. It's him, Logan said as the jet was leaving and Mito and Logan ran after it. Logan then jumped and caught onto one of the wheels and held on tight as the jet levitated away. Mito, however, was using her chakra to stick under the jet. Scott was confused at what had just happened, but then he saw a figure on a rock. Alex? Is it really you, Scott? Scott! Alex yelled as the 2 brothers ran and hugged each other. Man, I still can't believe it. When Magneto told me you were showing up, Whoa, wait, Magneto. You're with him? That guy just kidnapped my professor, Scott said. No, you got it wrong. He told me all about it, he just wanted to show him something. Come here for a sec. Alex said as Scott followed. He wants to show all of us. All? Scott asked. Yeah, you know mutants. He told me you were one. And guess what, so am I. See, check this out. Alex said as his hands glowed red. I couldn't believe it. I got these powers growing inside of me. Man, I was freaked until Magneto clued me in. He's great, Scott. He wants to meet with us, that's all. I'm going. I mean, how could I not, but you gotta come too, okay? Alex said as he led Scott to a giant metal sphere with the top part open. That thing there, it will take us to Magneto? Scott asked. Yeah, come on. It's kind of scary, you know, but exciting. Please? Alex said. This just doesn't smell right, Alex. But I'll go, just to keep an eye on you. And to find Professor X, Scott said. They both got into the sphere, it closed and took them someplace else. Meanwhile, back with Professor X, the X-Jet was still being pulled by Magneto. Magneto tried to sneak in, but the part of the jet she was standing on got detached and sent her crashing down to an island. Logan held on for longer. He climbed up the wing and the body of the jet. Professor X was in the cockpit trying to turn on the jet and manually fly the plane, but the system wasn't responding. Charles, relax. I am in control. Magneto said. What is this about, Magneto? Professor X asked. I am simply taking steps to ensure our survival. We both know that humankind will not only learn of us, but they will fear us. For we are the future, and what man fears he tramples. So I shall be ready for them. Magneto said. Wolverine made it to the body of the plane and used his claws to reach the cockpit. Ah yes, Wolverine. The man with the adamantium claws, Magneto said as he began to bend Wolverine's claws and hit him against the jet. Of course adamantium is a metal. And I'm sure he must realize that I am the master of magnetism, Magneto said as he threw Wolverine off the plane and into the ocean. Scene change, back at the Institute. Storm walked into the mansion to find it quiet, too quiet. Hello, anyone home? She called out. Professor Mito? She called out as she walked, and then a cat appeared. Oh, hello, you're not quite the kitty I was expecting to see, she said as she walked forward. Logan? She asked as Mystique turned back to her blue form. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Storm said as she turned around and channeled lightning through her hands. Mystique then spun around and jump-kicked at Storm but was hit with a blast of lightning and sent across the room. Mystique then quickly recovered and then jumped and flipped over the stairs and tackled Storm to the ground. Storm then kicked Mystique off. Give up and I'll make this quick, Wind Rider. I shouldn't even have to prove myself to him, she said as she flipped through the air and jump-kicked at Storm, who moved to the side. I don't know why you have chosen to attack me, and in truth I don't much care. This is my home. And you are not welcome here, Storm said as he channeled her powers and created a fog in the mansion which she used to surprise attack Mystique and knock her out. Then a giant metal sphere burst through the ceiling and landed next to Storm. It opened up and tentacles grabbed her and pulled her inside. When Storm was inside the sphere, it left the mansion. With Kurt and the others, the 4-Team Mutant were driving along the coast, soaking in the sun and good weather. Oh man. You feel that ocean breeze? I've been going into meltdown over here all covered up like this. I hate it, Rogue said as she tugged at her long-sleeve shirt. And why doesn't she wear full body suit all the time? Her touch literally kills people, but oh well, gotta show off skin for viewers. Yeah, you should try being blue and furry. It's murder, Kurt said. Kurt, look out, Rogue yelled as he swerved out of the way. Then a car hit them from behind and they turned to see Avalanche, Quicksilver and Toad. It's Lance Alvarez and his buddies, Kitty yelled. Avalanche then cracked the road, causing the road to shake. Hang on. Evan, slow them down, Rogue said. Right, Evan said as he shot some spikes Lance's jeep and they backed off a little bit. Now Avalanche, Quicksilver said. Avalanche then caused some rocks to fall off from one of the cliffs near the road, which caused Kurt to veer off the road onto a dirt path. Then Kurt tried to stop the car as the Blob appeared and stopped the van in its tracks. Come here often, the Blob said as the rest of the Brotherhood arrived. Let's party, Avalanche said. Blob then grabbed the car and picked it up and tossed everyone into the sand. Avalanche then created a sand pit and sucked the X-Men into it. Hey man, that didn't take too long at all, Toad said. Longer than you might think. Kurt and Rogue teleported behind the Brotherhood and tackled Avalanche and Toad. Kitty and Evan phased out of the sand. Time to prove yourself, Quicksilver said to Blob as he super sped away and tackled Evan. Blob then jumped in the air and body slammed Kitty into the sand. Blob smiled but then saw Kitty phase through, looking groggy. Yuck, Blob, now I totally need to shower now, Kitty said before she passed out. Kurt was fighting Avalanche, and when Kurt teleported onto a rock column, Avalanche used this to his advantage and caused it to collapse with Kurt under some rubble. Evan was fighting Quicksilver, who was currently running around Evan. Evan tried shooting some spikes at Quicksilver, but he was moving too fast. Quicksilver then ran around Evan so fast he created a mini sand tornado, and when he stopped, Evan was trapped in a sand prison. Rogue was fighting Toad, which was very easy because Toad shot out his tongue, but it was aimed at the door of the X-Van. Rogue then shut the door hard and Toad was yanked from the air and hit the van and was knocked out. Can't say I would want your slimy thoughts in my head, Toad, but I'm dropping you right here, Rogue said as she took off a glove, but Avalanche stopped her. Relax, Rogue, it's over, Lance said, and here comes your reward, Blob said as 4 metal spheres arrived and took them away. Scene changes. Logan swam back to the island to find Sabretooth waiting for him. And Mito was greeted by Gambit. Magneto pulled the X-Jet to his fortress in the sky, a giant rock floating in the sky with buildings built into the rock itself. What is this place? Professor X asked as the jet landed on the giant rock. Welcome, Charles, to Sanctuary, Asteroid M, Magneto said as Professor X arrived. Magneto then used his powers on Professor's chair and pulled him up to the platform that he was on. What is all this about? Charles asked. A rebirth. Your X-Men face a trial by fire. As do my own recruits. Mutant pitted against mutant. One shall lose, one shall win. Only those who emerge victorious may take their place on Asteroid M. Once gathered here in this place of solitude, they can then fully realize their mutant abilities, safe from those who might mistreat them. Magneto said. Eric, don't do this. We can introduce ourselves to mankind as friends, not enemies. Charles said. You are an idealist, Charles. I am a realist. It's a dark future that rushed toward us, and we must face it prepared, Magneto said as he walked into the main facility of Asteroid M and pulled Charles with him. The gathering is almost complete. With Mito's victory, only Wolverine and Sabretooth to go. A storm is coming from mutant kind, Charles, and our resolve must be ironclad. Side with me, not against me. Your invitation begs the question, what happens to those who won't come willingly? Charles asked. If necessary, sometimes salvation must be force-fed, Magneto said, showing Charles that he had Jean, Mito, Storm and Rogue unconscious in tanks. Eric, you haven't saved them, you've abducted them, Charles said. A certain amount of persuasion may still be needed, I'll admit. But for every non-believer, there is a convert, Magneto said as the doors opened to show Alex and Scott Summers. Scott, no, Charles said, as he saw his prized pupil side with Magneto. Scott, I don't understand. Professor, wait. We're just here to listen, that's all, Scott said. What about them? Are they here to listen as well? Xavier said as Scott saw Jean, Mito, Rogue and Storm in tanks. Hey, what is this? Scott demanded to know what was going on. Simply a precaution, Scott. Not everyone has the maturity to accept change as you do. And for some, I've had to use extreme methods to ensure cooperation, Magneto said as he used his powers to raise up a platform. Scott and Charles were shocked to see the new tank. The one inside the tank was the one and only Omega-level mutant in the world that they know of. Oh, how did you capture him? His mutation should make it impossible for him to be caught. Unless, Eric, you didn't, Charles exclaimed as he connected the dots on how Magneto beaten Naruto. I'm not proud of the method I used, Charles. But young Naruto's mutation is too great to be wasted on your silly ideals. It was a necessary evil, Magneto said. So what, you gonna turn him into a puppet? Scott asked in anger as Alex held him back. Easy, Scott, Alex said. Not at all. I will release him very soon, and hopefully he will embrace my proposal as you have, Magneto said as he went up to Naruto's tank. After all, this young mutant has the potential to change the world. A god among mutants, if you will. With his powers and my tutelage, he will lead us to an era of mutant superiority, Magneto said. No, he's just a young man, Charles said. You are wrong, Charles. I made my research, Charles. This man has gone through suffering you or Mito cannot understand. Suffering of an outcast, a pariah. He has seen the true face of mankind. If there is anyone who is ready for the power I'm talking about, it is this man. Eric, listen to me. We don't need a war, but we do, Charles, we do. And I assure you, Scott, your friends are completely safe, Magneto said to Scott, trying to keep him on his side. Are they safe, Scott? Are any of us safe? I know this man well. His motives cannot be trusted. He's bitter. Xavier was telepathically communicating with Scott, and Magneto saw this, and then moved him into an empty tank. Logan! Logan! Lose the battle, Magneto, as Professor X sent out a message to Logan, but the gas in the chamber knocked him unconscious. No! Scott yelled as he prepared to fire an optic blast. Do that, and he will not survive the decompression, Magneto told Scott. Yeah, well, odds aren't that great for you either, Scott warned him as Alex got between the two. Hey, Scott, come on, man. This is no good. They're having a little time out, so what? Look, I don't get it either, but no one should be getting hurt here. You can't blame Magneto for being careful. And all I know is that he just wants to help. And I need his help. So come on, holster that thing, would you? Alex said as Scott calmed down a little. I don't like it, Scott said, but your brother is right, Scott. I'm not your enemy, nor am I Charles. Very soon you will see the truth, Magneto said. Scene change. Kitty, Evan and Kurt were able to get some information out of Toad about why Rogue was taken. Magneto was behind the whole thing, and to the winners, they were taken someplace. They returned to the mansion to talk to Storm or Jean, but found the mansion destroyed. Oh man. What happened here? Kurt asked as he saw the destruction. Oh my gosh. Kitty said. Man, this place is trashed. Evan said. Oh man. You guys live like slobs. Toad said. He tagged along with the X-Men. Storm? Storm? Hey, are you here? Kitty called out but no one answered. Mystique then revealed herself, as she had transformed and jumped down in front of the kids. She's out. Can I take a message? Mystique asked. Hey, if you're still here. Then that means you're a loser too. Toad said as Mystique violently grabbed his collar and pulled him to her. Don't ever call me that. She snarled. What are you here for, a mother? Kurt said reluctantly. Simple truth. Nobody discards me. Especially not Magneto, after all I've done for him. So I'm paying him a visit. We can go together or I can go alone. She said. You won't be alone. Logan said as he walked through the destroyed front door. If Magneto's got our friends, then we're going after him. Good, but I know the man, so I'm calling the shots. Mystique said. Then get your own ride. X-Men, let's go. Logan said as Kurt, Spike and Kitty followed him. Oh, alright, fine. But I expect to be consulted. Mystique said as she threw Toad to them. The X-Men quickly got changed and headed to the hangar where Logan had a surprise. Welcome to the first test flight of the XM Velocity, Logan said as the helicopter lifted off the ground. Scene change. M. Scott was on a balcony, thinking back to the plane incident where he and Alex were separated. The plane they were on was crashing and there were only 2 parachutes, so his parents gave them to him and Alex. Scott, are you okay? Alex asked. I'm just remembering. Scott said. Yeah, still wakes me up at night. Alex said. I hit the ground pretty hard. I spent a month in a coma. The hospital said I was the only one who made it. I wanted to be there for you, Alex. I really did. I'm sorry, Scott said as the two continued to talk. To be continued. Scene change. Main facility. Naruto's pod began to shake as his eyes started to open. What happened? I feel so weak, Naruto said as he looked to see he was in a pod with some kind of liquid. Naruto struggled and then his pod opened, the liquid drained out, and he fell to the ground, still tired and confused. Then metal chains captured him, and he was suddenly pulled up by some force, and then saw him. You are full of surprises, Mr. Uzumaki. I didn't expect you to wake up just yet, the figure said as he floated forward. You must be powerful. You, Naruto said. Where's Jean? What have you done to her? Who are you? Ms. Gray is safe, as are you. I am not interested in hurting any mutant, just to guide them. And I am Magneto, Magneto said. Why do I feel so weak? Naruto asked. Unlike the other pods, yours was filled with a special mutant weakening fluid, Magneto said. Nonetheless, you should reach to full power by tomorrow, Armored Mutant says. What do you want from us? Naruto asked. For you to reach your full potential, mutant kind is emerging at a faster pace than ever. It is only a matter of time before we are known to mankind, and soon after, they will turn on us. I have built this facility to help young mutants such as yourself. Magneto said. Why would I want your help? Naruto snarled. My methods may seem extreme right now, but they are necessary. Magneto said as he pulled Naruto out of his pod to show him the radiation chamber, and the others' pods. Charles and Mito, they seek out peaceful coexistence with mankind. Their desire for this so-called peace clouds their judgment. They don't see that humans will bring nothing but war upon our kind. He said as he lands. Like you, I learned from an early age that people fear what they don't understand. Then they try to control it, and if they can't, they will come to hate it. When they do hate something, they will do anything to destroy it. Magneto now faces Naruto. While you may be the strongest, that won't be enough for what is coming. If you join me, you will have powers beyond the strongest. That challenging you would be the most ridiculous thought ever. That fighting you would be a sin. He said. Basically, young Naruto, you will be a god. Naruto had to admit Magneto was right. Mankind as a whole would never welcome mutants. As a Jinchuriki, he had seen the worst of man. They are hateful creatures that are greedy and would try to exploit and or destroy mutants. He also had no doubt mankind would create trouble for him in the future. The kind of power Magneto offered would come in handy, but joining a man who threatened his girlfriend and abandoning his precious people? No thank you, Naruto said as Magneto frowned. I'm sure you will change your mind once you see your friends join my cause. Magneto then points at the chamber. I built this right into the asteroid. Behold the next step in mutant evolution. He said. What is it? Naruto asked. A genetic enhancer. Perhaps you've heard of the legendary gem of Sidorak? They do exist, Magneto said as he held out a large ruby-colored gem. Once believed to have mystical properties, these gems actually emit a very distinctive radiation. Hey, wait a minute. You mean you're going to nuke us? Younger Summer's brother asked. I'm going to evolve you. To finish your growth. No more pain, Alex. And no more hiding behind that visor, Scott. Your powers will be fully realized, giving you complete control. Magneto said. What about them? I want them to be released. Older brother said. They will, but only after you've gone through the transformation. I want them to see what I'm offering. Magneto said as he opened the vault door. And it is an offer, Scott. I won't force you to go through it. We're supposed to trust that this thing works. You go through it then. Scott said. I have. I'm fully advanced. But why don't I provide you with a first-hand, real-life demonstration? Sabretooth. Magneto said as Sabretooth walked in the vault. In a few moments, he'll emerge reborn. The door opened to reveal Sabretooth, but he was different, larger than he was before and covered in fur. He then let out a large roar as the asteroid shook a little. Boys, it's time to reach your full potential. Magneto said. Don't do it, Summers. Naruto shouted. But he was ignored. What do you think, Scott? I mean, I want to, but not without you. Alex said. Scott then nodded as the two walked inside the evolutionary vault. And now for an appreciative audience. Magneto said as released the X-Men. Summers, you idiot! Naruto shouted. Too late. He's mine now. Magneto said. Naruto tried to use his powers but he was still too weak from the fluid. The vault door then opened to reveal Scott and Alex but changed. Both were taller and buffer than before and with white hair. The pain's gone. Alex said. And you shall be called Havoc. Magneto said to Alex. He then turned to Scott. Go on, Scott. Show us the color of your eyes. Magneto said as Scott took off his glasses, showing his brown eyes. Another benefit to your enhancement. Your minds, they are purged of useless emotions. You should have a dominant perspective of our roles on Earth. Look at yourself now, Summers. You are nothing more than the mini-me of Tinken over here. Naruto shouted. Perhaps you will change your mind after going through the chamber yourself. Magneto said as an alarm went off. Aircraft. Sabretooth said. Really, let's see who it is. Magneto said as he opened the skylight to see a helicopter approaching. He tried to grab it using his powers but it didn't work. He tried again but the same thing. No metal. Magneto said as Charles just shrugged his shoulders. Boys, defend us. Magneto said as the two brothers walked out to the landing platform. Scott then charged his optic blasts, and Alex charged his energy in his hands and they both fired at the helicopter. Both hit the chopper but it caused it to go flying towards the hangar. They ran back inside as the chopper skidded on the platform and crashed into the facility, destroying a good chunk of the main facility. As this was going on, Naruto was slowly getting his powers back and he is recovering way faster than Magneto predicted thanks to a combination of his chakra and his powerful mutation. Logan, Kitty, Kurt, Spike, Mystique and Toad then came out of the chopper. Knock knock, Mystique said. Mystique, you could never take no for an answer. Magneto said as she attacked him. Naruto got the feeling that he had enough strength back to use his powers now. Where's the X-Jet? Logan asked. Observation deck that way. Professor X pointed. Go! We got this. Mito said as Logan ran into Sabretooth. Storm, Rogue, prepare the jet. Professor X said. As they left. Jean, let's get to Scott and Alex. He said. Blob charged at Kurt but the Blue Devil teleported behind Blob and kicked him forward, causing the large man to smack his head into the wall and fall over. Lance tried to destroy the ground but Kitty phased Spike through and both delivered spin kicks to Lance, knocking him to the ground. Mystique confronted Magneto. She flipped and jumped away as Magneto sent metal spears at her. She dodged one set as they destroyed a pillar but Magneto sent another at her but they stopped in mid-air. Magneto and Mystique turned to see Naruto flying in the air, his arms covered in plasma. Magneto then sent a metal column at her and knocked her away before he sent it at Naruto, which reflected off him. You may be the strongest, but you are weakened, Magneto said as he threw more objects at Naruto, who was having no trouble despite not being weaker than normal. You are right, I'm already getting tired and can't go on for much longer, but then again, just because I've gotten weaker, it doesn't mean that you got stronger, right? Naruto said as he sent a whirlwind blast that blew away Magneto and Mystique into the radiation vault, by accident. Naruto then flew down and fall on one knee. Chai, that fluid seriously weakened me. If I got tired from just that. At that moment the whole asteroid began to shake. Enough with the tremors, man. Blob told Lance. That ain't me, this rock is cracking up. Lance said. We got to go, Databayo. Naruto said as he blasted a path to the jet. The Brotherhood ran to the jet, and so did the rest of the X-Men. Get aboard the jet quickly, Storm said. Scott and his brother are still buried, and Wolverine got his hands full. Rogue said. Go, I got it. Naruto said and went ahead. Shit, I only got 5 minutes in me at most. Wolverine slashes at Sabretooth, but Sabretooth barely felt a thing. Sabretooth then grabbed Wolverine by the neck and slammed him into a pillar. He roared, but before he could do anything, you should think about a full body wax, Naruto said as he kicked Sabretooth into the wall, causing debris to fall on top of him. Jean and Professor were trying to get Scott out of the rubble when it was blasted away by Cyclops. Scott and Alex saw the destruction of the asteroid and got frustrated. You and the others, you're ruining everything. This was our chance to unite, all of us. Scott exclaimed. Unite? For what, Scott? At what cost? Look what Magneto did to you. Jean said. He's helped me. I'm evolved. No more training, no more hurdles. My powers are now at my mercy. Scott said. Yeah, so you blasted your friends with it. I mean, how united is that? Jean asked. You don't understand. We are the future. Alex said. Really, Scott, are you the future? Because if you are, I don't want any part of it. Jean said as she left. You're right. Mutants shouldn't be divided. But we didn't draw the line, Magneto did. And it's still there, you just crossed over it. Professor X said as he left. What about the boys? Mito asked. They'll do what they must. Professor X said. Everyone except the two brothers got back to the jet as the asteroid was coming down. Scott and Alex fell of the asteroid, as they were falling to the ground, but they used their powers to slow down their fall, seeing the asteroid was still coming down. Scott and Alex used the last bit of their newfound strength to destroy it in a combined attack. The collision easily destroyed the meteor in an explosion. Holy shit, Databao! Omega-level mutant exclaimed as he looked at the brothers, clearly impressed by their potential. They might even hurt Bruce with that. Jean then ran out of the jet to see Scott, and Alex turned back to normal. She put Scott's glasses back on so he could see. She even gave him a hug, much to Naruto's ire. Professor, I'm sorry, I made some bad choices. Elder Summer's brother apologized. More like misinformed choices. But we owe you our lives. Both you and your brother. Professor X said. Yeah, and I'll make sure you make up for it with extra training, Mito said, making Scott shiver. Alex then turned at his brother. So much for havoc, huh? Yeah, well, the white hair looked lousy on you anyway. Scott said. Hey, Scott. If nothing else, at least I have my brother back. And that's what really matters to me. Alex said. Yeah, me too. And I promise that nothing is going to split us up again. Scott said. Professor then looked at Alex with time. Alex, your powers will emerge on their own. And if you'll allow, we will be there to help you along the way, all of us. Together, unified, because we are the X-Men. Next week, Naruto's apartment. Naruto and Jean were alone in his house. They were lying down on his couch. Hey Jean, have you decided on a dress for the wedding yet? She nods her head. I chose the dress but still need to find shoes to go along with it. Also I need to ask Ororo if I can borrow her earrings. Naruto chuckles. Well, I just need to rent a tux. I'll go to the city tomorrow. Wanna go together? You can look at the shoes there? She thinks about it for a second but shakes her head. I can't. Soccer team increased its training for the quarterfinals. He groans for a bit but then gives her a sly smile. Well, since you need to train for the soccer game, how about you wear your soccer shoes and nothing else? She rolls her eyes but walks towards shoe rack nonetheless. To be continued. New York City. A whiskered blonde boy was walking down the streets of New York. He entered a store called Great Black Tux. The blonde approached an elderly worker. Hello there, General Kenobi. What? Anyway, how may I help you? The worker asked. I'm looking for a rental tux, Naruto said. Of course you are, why else would you be here? Come on, let's get your measurements, the worker said. The man took out a tape and started taking Naruto's measurements. Hey lad, I forgot to ask. Why do you need a tux? Is prom coming up? Nah, it's for a wedding. My sis is getting married, he revealed. Are you going alone? Older man asked. With my girlfriend, actually. He revealed. Good to hear. Now hold your breath for a second. Exhale. Tell me about her. She is kind, smart, and beautiful. Whiskers said. But what? Kid, when you are as old as me, you know there is always a but. Sigh, there is this childhood friend of hers. The guy totally has a crush on her, but she won't see it. That's rough. I'm sure she'll see it from your point of view soon, he said, hopefully, and then lights go off and a few moments later explosions go off. What the heck? Old man, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Good, I need to help out others. Just stay inside and stay safe, alright? Alright. And kid, yeah? Excelsior. Naruto ran out the door, used the seal Mito gave him and changed his clothes to that of Maelstrom. He looked around and saw Iron Grunts. He sent a small whirlwind in their direction before seeing Iron Man. He saw Iron Man trying to get a read on MODOK. Iron Man gets hit with an electromagnetic pulse before falling to the ground, having Wasp follow after. Naruto followed them as well and landed in a construction site. They then saw another Hydra Skull robot, coming out of the water. Hey Tony, nice to see you. He generated a whirlwind and sent the robot flying. Hey kid, been a while, give me a minute to adjust, Tony replied. When the dust cleared, they saw Maria Hill and a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents aiming their weapons at them. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Hydra's invading New York, Wasp says. We noticed, Wasp, Hill responds. Agent Hill. Tony greeted her. Director Hill. She corrects him, and I'm putting this entire city on lockdown, including the Avengers. Okay, look. I know you and I got off to a rocky start, Hill, but we need to work together here. The Black Widow says that AIM has created a weapon of incredible power, and we don't have to do anything. The Black Widow is a traitor working for Hydra. You expect me to believe her? The bottom line? You Avengers are vigilantes, and unless you join S.H.I.E.L.D. right here and now, you're criminals as well. Look lady, I don't know how high of a stick you got up against your ass, but you should either do your job and help us stop Hydra, or stay out of our way. Because if they get this weapon Tony is talking about, your little S.H.I.E.L.D. badges won't do you any good. She glares at them for a bit more. Let them go, she ordered her men. Naruto smirks behind his mask before flying away, smashing another Hydra Skull robot. Warehouse. MODOK and Strucker were fighting in a burning warehouse as a cosmic cube sat on top of some rubble. Strucker sent some robots to attack MODOK and rushed for the cube. Oof. But was sucker punched by a growing Ant-Man who rode on one of Hawkeye's arrows. You don't want to touch that, Strucker. It could be dangerous. Ant-Man said as he saw Naruto, Thor and Black Panther helping out as well. Captain America then tackled Strucker across the room. Rah! Strucker attacked but Cap sidestepped out of the way and pushed him into a stack of crates. Cap repeated the action several times before tripping Strucker on the third time he ran for an attack. Cap picked him up, but was grabbed by his robotic arm. He took some of Captain America's energy before Cap hit him away with his shield. "Your strength is now mine, Captain," Strucker said, pulling his sword out. "Now, I will finish this." Captain America got up as Black Widow and Hawkeye ran in and attacked the robots. Hulk crashed through as the floor gave way where Captain America and Strucker were standing. "I've been fighting you since you were a kid, Strucker," Cap said, throwing his shield at the villain. He then caught it as Strucker stood up. "Today, it ends." The two traded blows as Strucker knocked the shield away. Suddenly, a pebble and arrow hit Strucker in his robotic arm and pinned him against the crate. "Ah!" He screamed as he glowed and lost his muscles that went back into Captain America. "Strucker, by the order of S.H.I.E.L.D., you are under arrest," Widow said as the Avengers and Maelstrom stood by her on the upper floor. "Yeah, take that," Wasp shouted. "Never!" Strucker broke his arm before running for the cube. Captain America gave chase and they both dove for the cube before grabbing it at the same time. Suddenly the others were blinded by a bright light as a shock wave almost knocked them down. When opening them, they saw everything was the same. "It's over, Strucker. So the Avengers took down Hydra and AIM, saved your helicarrier, and probably the world. Even after you shot at me." Tony gloats. "Nothing's changed, Stark. I'm not giving the Avengers a pass. I'm not Nick Fury. I'm going to the President and Congress. I want the Avengers registered, and working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm going to make it happen, whether you like it or not." Naruto starts laughing. "You are kidding, right? Trying to register us against our will would bring so much bad press that no politician would touch it with a 50-foot stick. Just look at us. I'm the guy who helped the UN solve their nuclear crisis last month. Tony Stark, the man you were just threatening, is the richest man in the country, maybe the world. If he were to feel threatened, he could take most of his business to a European country, say Switzerland. It would disrupt state's already shaky economy. BP is the royalty of foreign country. He has full diplomatic immunity. Just by suggesting something like forced registration would start an international conflict. Thor is a god prince that is not even from this planet. You really think his people would just let it be? You would start an invasion of gods. And finally we have Captain America himself, the war hero of the United States. Public riots of his arrest wouldn't end until we all die." Naruto finished getting Maria to glare. After she left, Iron Man approached Naruto. "Kid, that was bold, even for you. You think she'll let it go? She can try, but there is nothing she can do," he said. "Sigh, just be careful, alright?" Tony said. "Sure," the whiskered blonde said as he flew away. Scene change. Naruto had flown to the top of a building and decided to sit down for a bit and relax. He wanted to think about Jean and him for a moment. What he didn't expect was to see the Purple Archer and this Super Spy 2020 in an alley. "This is crazy, Natasha. Come back to the mansion with me. The Avengers will protect you until we can locate Fury." "No, I have to find him. Clint, if Fury really is missing, then something terrible has happened. Come with me." "I can't. I'm an Avenger. They're my partners now." They slowly kiss, not noticing that a whiskered blonde heard them. "Damn. Seeing their problems, me and Jeans looks very childish." Next day, Avengers Mansion. "I can't believe all that was for nothing. The cube thing didn't work," Wasp said as Iron Man without his helmet stood at the fireplace. "I knew it wouldn't work," Iron Man said. "Maybe it did. I mean, Cap might have touched it first." Naruto spoke up. "And the world did change today. The Avengers took down Hydra. Something I wasn't able to do in my time. We didn't need to wish to do it. I wouldn't change a thing." Cap finished. In a distant land a portal opens. Out of the portal a girl with red hair and glasses came out. "Karama, we've made it." To be continued. What has always made a hell on earth has been that man has tried to make it his heaven. Friedrich Holderlin. Shinobi World. This world was hell. The Shinobi world has always been in a state of war. For hundreds of years, Shinobi clans fought amongst each other. Countless skirmishes occurred every day, even occasional wars between powerful clans. Then came Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. They declared peace amongst their clans and formed a coalition. Seeing the mighty coalition between Senju and Uchiha, other clans of the Land of Fire had to join them or get destroyed. This eventually led to the formation of Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. This was Hashirama's attempt to end the bloodshed, but unfortunately it was not meant to be. Other nations formed their own hidden villages and soon the wars between clans turned into wars between nations. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. Thousands of people were dying every day, not only shinobi but also civilians. It continued for over 4 years and even the landscape had changed. But finally, peace had been achieved thanks to the sacrifice of the Shodai Hokage. Within 20 years a second great shinobi war began. This war had been just like the one before. Millions were dead in the aftermath. But the one big difference was that the majority of the fighting was in minor countries like Land of Rain, leaving them devastated. Not even a decade later a third great shinobi war started. The reign of the 5 great shinobi countries was crumbling. Skirmishes with smaller nations broke out. The prolonged conflicts gradually spread their flames far and wide, until at last, it developed into an all-out war. Children barely out of the academy were thrown onto the battlefield, eventually losing their young lives during the war. It only ended when the third Hokage established a policy of reconciliation to bring an end to the fighting with an unprecedented offer to not seek reparations. But now, it was different. The Fourth Great Shinobi War was far grimmer than all the other wars combined. Millions of people were already dead, and the survivors just kept fighting. They no longer questioned why they were fighting, cause that was their only option. Well, that or taking their own life and embracing the pleasant arms of Lady Death. The thing that made this war worse than all the others was the fact that there weren't even signs of negotiations for peace, cause each great nation wanted to reign over the others and no one was willing to give an inch. And soon, the greed of these so-called great nations would destroy anything that wasn't already gone. This was truly hell on earth. -9 years ago, Konoha Underground Chamber. An explosive chakra pulse shook the room as the extraction was complete. The boy who was supposed to be dead was nowhere to be seen. What was that, Danzo? This wasn't part of the extraction process. Koharu shrieks in a voice that would make a Harino proud. Hamura was also worried as he couldn't find the boy's body anywhere. Where is the boy, Danzo? It must have been a safety yandere put on the seal. But it doesn't matter anymore. The girl is the Jinchuriki now, and she will be the perfect weapon for Konoha to reign supreme. Hamura didn't like it, as he believed the boy at least deserved a proper burial. Nevertheless, he nods. The boy appears to be dealt a worse hand than he thought possible. What are we going to do with the girl now? Koharu points at the redhead. Her training is of utmost importance. Danzo nods. From today onward I will personally be in charge of her training. He looks at the girl. You will be our sword. Tell me, girl, what is a sword? The girl in question was shaking. Sword is a wee weapon. Tio kill one's enemies, she answered with a terrified tone. Hamura spoke up. That is correct. That is what you will be, Konoha's greatest weapon to kill her enemies. He looks at the bandaged man. Your training will start tomorrow. For the next 4 years, Karen had trained under Danzo. Each day had been worse than the one before. She was broken every day and healed every night. She had spent the last 4 years hidden from everyone, training every moment she was awake except for the rare occasions where she was sent to missions with her rude handlers. The only companion she ever had was the source of her torment, Kyubi no Kitsune, or Karamani as she calls him. During the Chunin exams, Konoha had been attacked by the combined forces of Sunagekure and Otogekure. Hiruzen Sarutobi, third Hokage, had managed to fight off the snake Sannin and finally defeat him when Yandere Kazekage betrayed Orochimaru. But the victory had come with the prize in the shape of his own life. And in this story, Kazekage was not killed pre-war. However, he betrayed Orochimaru during the exams, killing both Hiruzen and Orochimaru in their weakened state. Sasuke Uchiha, in his infinite wisdom, had run after an angry Jinchuriki, believing himself to be powerful enough to stop his rampage. Needless to say, he and his teammates, Sora and Sakura, lost their lives. And Sora was used as a fake Jinchuriki, a fake deterrent. Despite all these losses, Konoha managed to survive thanks to the timely arrival of Jiraiya the Sannin, but she needed a new leader, a powerful one at that. One of the legendary Sannin would be their first choice. However, Jiraiya had to be passed due to several factors. 1. His reputation as a pervert would lower Konoha's standing among female clients, and 2. He was needed to be outside the village for his spy network. Senju Tsunade had simply refused the position. Despite her student and ex-teammate begging, she refused to take a position that led to the death of her entire family. Konoha's next choice for the position was Hatake Kakashi. But he had to be passed over due to his depression after losing his entire team. Finally, the mantle of Hokage was left to the old Warhawk. In a fit of paranoia, Danzo assumed that other villages would use Konoha's weakened state for a surprise attack. So his first order of business was to send his root operatives to Takigakure and abduct their Jinchuriki. Unfortunately for him, his team had failed. After Konoha's bold move, other great villages started strengthening their military. And within 2 years, the Fourth Great Shinobi War had begun. And 2 years after that, Karen was finally going to be deployed to the front lines. This would be the first time she would be allowed to use Kurama's chakra in years. And, you don't use your super weapon at the start of the war, so Jinchurikis join a while after the war starts, at least in this FIC. Also, the reason she couldn't release Kurama's chakra is due to Danzo putting a lock in it, making it impossible to access it unless he removes it. Kuramani, I'll finally be able to release enough of your chakra for that jutsu. Will we be able to pull it off? Kit, when have I let you down? We'll be out of this shitty village before you know it, and we'll be in a place where no one knows who we are. For now, stay calm and imagine that mummy's face when you and I disappear as my siblings destroy his shitty forces. I hope so, Kuramani. It's been my only dream ever since I met you, she said with a small smile. Yeah, just rest for the day. Tomorrow is the big day. Next day. Fox, approach me, a bandaged old man said. Hi Danzo-sama. Karen did as he said. Your mission is to destroy the IWA forces and eliminate 4 tails and 5 tails. Do you understand? Hi Danzo-sama. Good, now show me the seal. Karen opens her shirt, showing the seal, and Danzo goes through a dozen hand signs and slams his hand to Karen's stomach. Get ready to use the chakra of the beast. Hi Danzo-sama. Karen left for the front lines, keeping her emotions in check so that no one would see her smile. You ready, Kuramani? Karen asked her only friend. Yes, Kit, strongest of the Bijou telepathically replied. Operative Fox, you are authorized to release the full power of the demon's chakra after I give you the signal. Hi Bear-sama. Bear sees the emergence of 4 tails and 5 tails, and then gives Karen the signal. Karen releases the full might of 9 tails for the first time, but as soon as she does, rather than attacking, Kurama avatar goes through hand signs. What is going on? Fox, follow your orders. Bear Umbu shouts. Karen ignores it and finally, when she gets to the 1000th sign, she smirks and gives Kurama the control. See you never, shitlords. He shouts as an explosive chakra burst was released, injuring or killing a portion of Konoha's army. Feeling the explosion from his tent, Danzo comes rushing. What is going on? Bear! Where is my weapon? Hokage-sama, I don't know. Operative Fox just disappeared after releasing the demon's chakra. 10th of our forces are either dead or injured in the massive chakra burst, and 2-tailed beasts are coming our way. What are your orders? Danzo was shaking in rage. Leave the injured behind to buy us some time, we will retreat. Hi Hokage-sama. That day Konoha experienced one of the biggest losses of this war. And the one responsible for it was a young girl seeking her freedom. In her search for freedom, the said young girl found herself in a distant land. Karamani, we've made it. She dropped on her knees and started crying. We've made it. Yeah Kit, we've made it. The strongest of the tailed beasts said with a smile before noticing a difference. Kit, there is something wrong. What is it? Karen asks in a worried tone. Am I in danger? No, you should be fine. But there is something wrong with your chakra coils. There is also new energy inside you. It's not chakra. It feels similar to yin chakra, but it's different. I have never seen anything like that before. Thank Kami. That's not important. It's just a small price to pay for freedom. And that energy, we'll just deal with it later. Can't argue with that. And Kit, yeah? Congrats on your freedom. Her foxy friend said. Thanks, Karamani. She gave him a genuine smile. To be continued. Bayville High soccer game. 11 seconds remaining in the clock. The score is 4-4. Taran passes the ball to the Jean. 7 seconds left, and the ball is passed to Bayville High's star striker Jean Grey. Commentator. Jean controls the ball and loses her defender. Alright, go Jean. Naruto exclaims, cheering her on. Jean then passes 3 defenders. She shoots and it's a goal, and with that Bayville High reaches to semifinals. Commentator. Scott passes between cheerleaders. Jean, you were Fanta. He was cut off. Naruto rushed and hugs Jean. Hey Jean, you were awesome out there, honestly. If you continue to play like that you might give Messi a run for his money. Who? Kitty asks. See best player in Z World, excluding Lewandowski. Teleporting Bayern fan said. Thanks, Naruto. Yeah, everyone played well today, Jean said as she hugged her boyfriend, not hearing her friends. Scott approaches them. Jean, we are taking off. You are riding or walking? Ah, thanks Scott, but Naruto is giving me a ride, she said. Yes, Summers, and we might get lost, Naruto said while walking away. No doubt if you are driving, Scott mumbled under his breath. Naruto just smirks as he walks away with Jean. After they left, 2 of Jean's teammates started talking behind her back. God, I seriously hate her, one of them said. I know, right? She acts like she is this Miss Perfect. God, she is so annoying. She makes you feel inferior, and probably laughs behind your back, the other one agreed. Yeah. And the worst part is that Bee even hogged Naruto all to herself. Half the school wants to get to know him better, but they can't cause Miss Perfect claimed him on the first day of school. Around an hour later, Deer Valley. Naruto had driven to the Deer Valley, a famous makeout spot for local high school students. He was sitting there with Jean, but before they can go to the second base, a message to Naruto's phone came. The blonde stops kissing Jean. 1 SEC. He quickly looks at it, and sees the news alert. Groan. Of course it's him. What is it? The redhead asked in worry. Take a look. He showed her his phone. Eyewitness accounts conflicted, but all agree that a strange red flash deflects the falling. Its source is still a mystery. Scott seems to have used his power. No doubt Professor will have a talk with him, Jean said. Yeah, do you want to go? He asked, hoping she would stay. Sorry. She plants a kiss to his cheek. We'll continue this tomorrow, I promise. Naruto smiles. Alright, Databale. While they were driving, they got to talking about changes in the X mansion, more specifically the new people. How do you feel about all those new students in the mansion? The whiskered blonde asked. It's alright, I guess. I just wish Bobby would stop hitting on me. The redhead replied. Oh, let him be, Naruto said. Jean's eyebrow rose. Since when are you okay with other guys hitting on me? Well, Bobby is special, you know. I know what? You know he is batting for the same team. Wait. Are you saying? Yeah, I mean he tries to hide it. But anytime Bachan has me do water walking exercise, I take my shirt off and he happens to walk by the training grounds, he said. Seriously? The red-headed mutant asked in disbelief. Yeah, just don't tell anyone, okay? Let him come out in his own time. I only told you cause I thought you knew, Naruto said, mumbling the second part. But Jean heard and asked, how would I know? You are a telepath and an empath. You should know more about people than they do about themselves. I try not to look into people's minds. Anyway, do girls in the mansion check you out? She said, changing the subject. Some do, the blonde revealed. Which ones? She asked. Oh, is Miss Gray finally getting jealous? The blonde teased. Whatever, she mumbled, crossing her arms. She didn't bother responding to Naruto's teasing. Hey, no need to get serious. It's just, usually it's me who gets jealous. It's refreshing to see you like this. It suits you, he said while grinning. I guess I just can't believe they will do something like this. Sigh. Anyway, tell me who happens to walk by. Fine. The usual crew is Bobby, Tabitha, and Jubilee, but Amara, Ron, Kitty, and Rogue also happened to walk by a few times. What? That's every girl in the mansion, she exclaimed, couldn't hide her irritation any longer. I guess so, he shrugged while his grin turned into a full-blown smile. I'll be having a little chat with them, she mumbled under her breath. Don't be too hard on them. They are just enjoying the view, he said while flexing his left arm. The telepath glared at her boyfriend. And how would you feel if the boys in the mansion were enjoying my view? She countered. I would most likely volunteer them to test Reedney's newest inventions. I think he was working on a cancer ray, he said, making Jean forget about what they were talking about. Is he working on a ray that will cure cancer? The redhead asked in disbelief. The idea that one of the deadliest diseases out there could be cured with a ray was beyond unbelievable. To her disappointment, the blonde shook his head. No, opposite actually, a ray that causes cancer. Jean's sweat dropped. Why would he even work on something like that? She exclaimed. Naruto shrugged. Reedney is the poster boy for mad scientists. He just has Sune and Ben to keep him in line. It's too bad that Sune is pissed after the third time they had to cancel their wedding and Ben just started dating Alicia. He can't be that bad, can he? She asked in disbelief. Naruto's made a SOSO sign. As long as he doesn't try to make a super clone or open a black hole in Manhattan, I would say he is being tame. Wow, that's unbelievable. It really not that bad. Most of the time his inventions end up saving the world. It even saved my life, once, he said, stopping at the front gate of X Mansion. We are here. I'll see you tomorrow. A few minutes ago, X Mansion. I was so worried about anyone seeing me that I almost acted too late, Scott said to Professor. And why? Saving lives should be the most important thing we do with our powers. I know this is a confusing issue. Helping others is the right thing to do. But we must try to remain anonymous, for the present. Professor said. It's like we're hiding in shame. What's the harm? Scott asks. These people are not ready to embrace the fact that mutants walk the earth. Look, I'm not blaming you for what you did. I'd have done the same thing in your place. I'm just saying you need to do what you can without revealing what you are. Naruto uses his powers in the public eye, and they adore him, Scott countered. While Mr. Uzumaki indeed uses his powers in public, his affliction with Fantastic Four and the Avengers, as well as his powers blocking most mutant detection devices, makes it nearly impossible for the public to even suspect he is a mutant, Professor said. I don't know, Professor. I'm having a hard time with this one, he said. Next day, school gym. Scott was sitting in the gym stands, waiting for the assembly to start. He was reading a book when his friend elbows him and shows him Jean walked into the gym. He sees her looking around, so he gets up and waves his hand. He smiles when he sees her doing the same until he notices that her wave was for Naruto, who was just getting up from his seat. He scowled when he saw them hug. Members of the Brotherhood were standing next to a wall. Toad was trying to catch a fly. Man, this sucks, yo. Even the flies here think they're better than us. I don't even know what we're doing at school anyway. Blob said. Well, we do know what Lance is doing here. He'd like to get a certain kitty stuck in a tree. Kising Pietro says as he dodges a punch from Lance. Rogue walks past them, but she was stopped by a girl with purple hair. Excuse me? How long do these assemblies usually last? The purple-haired girl said. Too long. But at least it gets us out of class. Right. Ha. Class. My next one should be geometry with Mr. Barton. The purple-haired girl said. You're new? Rogue asked. I'm Misty Wilde from Manchester, England, Misty said. I'm Rogue. Hang out afterward. I'll show you where Barton's class is, she said, happy to finally have a friend in the school. Then Lance walks to where Kitty is. Hey, Kitty. Didn't see you there, he said. Look. It's the walking Richter scale. Shouldn't you be erupting somewhere? She said while rolling her eyes, getting Brotherhood to laugh at Lance. A random teacher starts off the assembly now. Everyone, let's give a warm Bayville High welcome to our new principal, Mr. Edward Kelly. Lance, after seeing the new principal, smirks. Hey, Kitty, wanna see some real shaking? He uses his powers to create an earthquake, causing the score counter to fall on Principal Kelly. At least it would have if G did not use her telekinesis to save him at the last second. Lance, get a clue, okay? Kitty hit his arm. Principal Kelly gets up. Since when is Bayville on a fault line? Getting a small laugh out of everyone anyway. I want to welcome you all to a new semester. Filling the vacuum left by your previous principal, Miss Darkholm, will not be an easy job, but it's a challenge to which I am looking forward. That brings me to what I hope will become the theme of this semester. Meeting new challenges. Most of us go through life thinking we're not so different from people around us. That's a mistake. Because I'll wager that every one of us here has some unique talents. Some special gifts. Some ability that makes us stand out from the crowd. However, that said, I want your second priority to be supporting the girls' soccer team for the championship. I want every one of you to turn out tonight for the big pre-game rally. Everyone cheers. Naruto and Jean walks out of the rally. Naruto turns to G and asks, are you alright? Yeah, I am, she said. Good. Ring ring. At that moment Naruto's phone rang. He looks at Jean. Open it, I'm fine. Okay. He answers it. Hey Johnny, what's up? Is everything okay? No. Come here right now. Sis went crazy. She decided to move the wedding forward. The wedding's in an hour. Hurry. I'm on my way. He closed the phone and turned to his girlfriend Jean. We need to go. What happened? Sune and Reedney are getting married in an hour. What? But why so sudden? I thought the wedding was scheduled for next week. She asked. I don't know, but we need to get dressed now, he said while pulling her towards the parking lot. Wait, I can't go. There is a soccer match, the team needs me. Jean said. Jean, please, this is very important to me. I need you, Naruto said. Alright, but I need to leave right after the ceremony. I can't let the team. That's fine, let's go already, he said. An hour later, Baxter Building rooftop. Reed Richards and Sue Storm were standing in front of a minister. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of God to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony. Not to be entered into lightly, holy matrimony should be entered into solemnly, and with reverence and honor. Into this holy agreement, these two persons come together to be joined. If any person here can show cause why these two people should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. Minster said, only for no one to say anything. Marriage is a sacred union between husband and wife and shall remain unbroken. It is the basis of a stable and loving relationship and is a joining of two hearts, bodies, and souls. The husband and wife are there to support one another and provide love and care in times of joy and times of adversity. Minster continued, we are all here today to witness the joining in wedded bliss of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. This joyous day celebrates the commitment and love with which Reed and Sue start their lives together. Through God, you are joined together in the holiest of bonds. Who gives this woman in holy matrimony to this man? Minister asked. I do, an elderly man with sunglasses said. Do you, Reed, take Sue to be your lawfully wedded wife and live together forever in the estate of holy matrimony? Do you love, comfort, honor and keep her, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, for as long as you both shall live? Minister asked. I do, Reed said. Do you, Sue, take Reed to be your lawfully wedded wife and live together forever in the estate of holy matrimony? Do you love, comfort, honor and keep her, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, for as long as you both shall live? I do, Sue said. The wedding ring is an unbroken symbol of the everlasting love and commitment between man and wife. Ben then gives Reed the rings. Repeat after me. With this ring I thee wed. With this ring I thee wed, Reed said while placing the ring to Sue's finger. With this ring I thee wed, Sue said while placing the ring to Reed's finger. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. With the power vested in me by God and the state of New York, I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride. Reed and Sue kisses and everyone in the roof starts clapping. After their first dance, Naruto and Jean approaches. Congrats, Sune, Reedney. Yes, congratulations, Jean added. Thank you too, maybe someday soon we'll attend your wedding. The young couple blushed a bit. Anyway, Jean has to go now, there is her soccer final. I'm sorry, Sue, wish I could stay longer, but I can't let down the team. I understand, it was kind of a last-minute wedding, we didn't want Doom to learn about it and attack the wedding again. Sue said. They all nod and then Jean kissed Naruto. I'll see you tomorrow and run off. Good luck in the game, Naruto said while watching her leave. Next day, Naruto's apartment. Jean told Naruto about what happened in the game. I can't believe the Brotherhood attacked the game and told everyone about mutants, Naruto said. Me either, we got lucky when Professor erased everyone's mind, Jean added. Jean, I need to tell you something, Naruto said in an all-serious tone. Last night, I and She-Hulk we kinda agreed to fill in for the newlyweds while they are in their honeymoon. You'll officially be a Fantastic Four member? For how long? She asks. 1 week, he said. When are you leaving? Tonight. Alright then, in the meanwhile, she gives him a passionate kiss. I have few ideas on what we can do. To be continued. Baxter Building, 1 week later. I thought being a member of the Fantastic Four would be more important than this, the green superheroine said to the rock-covered hero, pointing at the two blonde teenagers playing Mario Kart. Hey! Knowing how and when to relax is the most important part of the job, the flamey blonde shouted out loud. Hate to agree with the flame brain over there, but he is right. You never know when an ugly bastard needs punching, so you gotta enjoy these moments. Ben answered. Oi, stop cheating. There is no way you can win otherwise. The whiskered blonde shouted while Luigi got hit by a. You're just saying that because you suck at this game. Naruto gains a thick mark. You wanna go, Databeo? He shouted as he dropped the controller and held his right bicep. But before Johnny could say flame on, She-Hulk hit both of them with a flick. It bounced off Naruto's shield, but Johnny wasn't as lucky. He flew for a good part of a meter before dropping on his ass. Did anyone get the number of that truck? He said, slowly getting up. Oh, I'ma hit you for real this time. She said, walking towards. Wait, I didn't mean it like that. He screamed as he flew away, getting She-Hulk to chase him and Naruto and Ben to laugh their asses off. Hey Ben, Naruto said after they finally stopped laughing, can I talk to you for a minute? In private. He said in a serious tone, catching Ben off guard. Yes, sure. They then walked towards the kitchen. Once they were there, Naruto opened a ceiling scroll, applied chakra into it, Kai. And a large watch appeared in his hand. I was actually planning to wait for your birthday to give you this. But I just talked with Jean and it's apparently her father's birthday as well and she invited me, so I wanted to give it to you now. You made a watch that I can't easily destroy or something? Ben asked. Well, yes, and more, just put it on. He told Taraki. Ben shrugged and put on the watch. Press the big orange button. Ben did as Naruto instructed and a few seconds later noticed something. His fingers no longer looked like tiny mountains. He ran to the nearest drawer, took out the biggest spoon he could find, and looked at his reflection. He no longer looked like a pile of rocks with a pair of eyes. Instead, he looked like his old self, the one before he went to that space mission with Reed and others. "Oh, how did you do this? How am I normal?" He screamed out loud. "Sorry, Ben, I should have explained it before giving you the watch. This is a reinforced image inducer. It was invented by a mutant scientist for mutants with unusual physical deformities. Kurt had one, and after learning about it, I asked to study it, and finally managed to make one specially for you." "Image inducer?" he asked, and then noticed he was indeed still a pile of rocks. He didn't even feel the spoon he was holding. "So I'm not fixed?" He had a sorrowful look on his face. "So I still can't feel anything. I'm still the thing." He was about to crush the watch until the blonde spoke. "Actually, Ben, I also have this for you," Naruto said as he took out a soldier tag. On the tag, there was some Japanese gibberish. Ben was unable to read Bachan's present. Ben took it into his hands and took a closer look. "Nice tag. It looks like one of those seal thingies you started to learn. What does it do?" "It's a torture seal," he tried to say, but Ben cut him off. What? He shouted before throwing it away. Naruto managed to catch it before it flew to the Atlantic Ocean. "Yawn, sorry, Ben. I've been playing video games with Johnny all week, so I may forget. People don't know what I know. It's a tweaked torture seal that makes someone's sense of touch enhanced by 438.2 times. The original version was intended to make enemy ninjas feel greater pain without killing them during torture, but it should make it so you feel like how you used to before the space trip. I know it's not exactly what you would have wanted, but it's pretty close." Ben still looked hesitant. "Don't worry, the math was checked by Tony, and Bachan is pretty much a wizard with those seals, so it should work." Naruto tried to reason. "Alright, so how does it work? Do I put it on and voila, I can feel normal again? No strings attached?" Ben finally agreed. "Well, I need to fill it up with chakra from time to time, but essentially yes." Ben nods and puts on the tag. Naruto releases an immense amount of chakra and makes a tiger seal. "Ki," he screams. A second later, the first thing Ben touched was his face. It still felt rocky, but he could actually feel it now, just like how he used to feel if he were to touch a pile of rocks before the accident. He then hugged the blonde in front of him. "Fish cake, thanks. Guh, don't mention it, big guy. Just let me down," he said, and Ben let him go, slightly surprised. "Yeah, you still have your strength and everyone around you is just as squishy. You still have to be careful. Ain't that big of a deal. This is the best early birthday present I've ever received. Who knows, maybe your girlfriend can top it." Nudge nudge, wink wink. Scene change. Outside a Fantastic Four building. "Kit, did you just sense that?" Karen nods as she opens her eyes, deactivating the mind's eye of the Kagura. "Kurama, whoever this person is, his or her chakra reserves are larger than anyone I have met. It is even higher than my own. And they somehow managed to hide it completely now, but how? No one in this world should even have chakra in the first place. I only know of 5 people that have more chakra than you, and I watched 4 of them die. Who is the last one? Remember my first Jinchuriki, the one who sealed me away, the inventor of the jutsu that sent us to this world? You don't think, but she should be over 150 years old. Even if she is Uzumaki, she shouldn't be alive, let alone have that kind of reserves. Mito must have gained a new bloodline that allowed her to live longer than a normal Uzumaki. Like your bullshit Sage of 6 Paths level Yamanaka bloodline," Kurama reasoned. "It's not bullshit, it helped us learn about this world. What can you tell me about this woman?" "Short version, she is a bitch," he said, still bitter about the time she sealed him away. "Okay, and the long version? Well, Mito Senju's a bitch. She's a big fat bitch. She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She a stupid bitch, if there ever was a bitch. She's a bitch to all the boys and girls. On Monday she's a bitch. On Tuesday she's a bitch. On Wednesday to Saturday she's a bitch. Then on Sunday, just to be different, she's a super sage of 6 paths biatch. Kurama creates clones. Come on. You all know the words. Kurama and clones. Have you ever met my ex-Jinchuriki Mito Senju? She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a mean old bitch. And she has stupid hair. She's a bitch. Just real Kurama. Bitch. She's a stupid bitch. Whoa. Clones, Mito Senju's a bitch. And she's such a dirty bitch. Clones, talk to cubies around the world. And it might go a little bit something like this. Chinese Kurama, Kair de mama shige biaozi yij biaozi. French Kurama, ls la plus grande chien don le monde entier. Dutch Kurama, say is een stam kutwif. Alesser Imanin Kutwif was, Swahili Kurama, ye and I bitchot ya wavilana na wasakana. Normal Kurama, have you ever met my ex-Jinchuriki Mito Senju? She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world. She's a mean old bitch, and she has stupid hair. She's a bitch. She's a stupid bitch. Mito Senju's a bitch, and she's such a dirty bitch. I really mean it. Mito Senju, she's a big fat fucking bitch. Big ol' fat fucking bitch, Mito Senju. Yeah, Cha Kurama singed, getting Karen to raise an eyebrow. How much South Park have you been watching? She asked. Respect ma authorita. Now seriously, what can you tell me about her? Sneer. Fine, as I said before, Mito Senju is a bitch, but she is a powerful bitch. I would go as far as to say she was one of, if not the most powerful kunoichi to ever live, and I bet my tails that she suffered the same thing as you did. So she can't mold her chakra, and more specifically use her damn chains. We should be able to kill her. Sage, I wanna kill that bitch. Give me the controls so I can kill her with my own claws. Kurama as he thought of the time she sealed him away. If she is really in that building, it means she is with Fantastic Four. It won't be easy to kill her. Remember, they apparently fend off Galactus, she said, getting Kurama to scoff. PFF, I can beat him. Kurama explained. He was going to eat the planet. No offense, Kuramani, but I don't think, she suggested. Oi. Who do you think I am? I'm the most powerful of the Bijou. No oversized helmet head is gonna beat me. He practically roared. Sigh, if you say so. Then there is only one thing left to say. Yeah. Karen gives control of her body to Kurama. A second after that, she is covered in yellow flame-like chakra. Let's go wild / let's go wild. They both shouted. Then Karen Kurama disappears in a flash of light. To be continued. What if Naruto was in Avengers? Konoha wants him back. And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.